Chapter 1020. C_T. Genius 1 second. Remember love/go/little? Sure, Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Please go here to read. Third sister, don't challenge Night's Sorrow. Even if you're in front of him, don't touch him, Luo Qixia reminded Qingyin. Don't worry, brother. I'm not an ungrateful person, Qingyin said with a smile. Don't talk about being ungrateful. Don't challenge him either. He's too strong. You're not his match. If I'm not wrong, he'll start attacking you, Luo Qixia said. Don't worry, brother. I know what I'm doing. But this guy is really special. He entered the pressure zone of King's territory and didn't get hit, Qingyin murmured. What does that mean? It means he's strong enough to enter the pressure zone of King's territory. His strength is infinitely close to that of King. If Slaughter Saint King and Black Demon Saint King don't have sharp eyes, they'll die this time, Luo Qixia said. I don't know what his title is. I'm curious about that, Heifeng said. I want to know too, but my teacher and the other kings don't know. Maybe he's the only one who knows, Luo Qixia said. That's not right. We know about Jiuxiao Tower. It's the place where the original strength of Jiuxiao realm manifests. Isn't the birth of a titled cultivator announced to the world? Why is it so mysterious? Heifeng said. Luo Qixia also fell into deep thought. After pondering for a while, he raised his head and looked at his junior brother and sister. I thought of a problem. 2 golden light seals were drawn out from his body. They were originally there. The 9 Heavens Pagoda's golden light only strengthened them. This means that his situation is similar to Slaughter Saint King and Black Demon Saint King. He already had a title before. Chen Bai and Heifeng looked at each other and didn't say anything. They knew Night's Sorrow, but they didn't know him well. In fact, Luo Qixia was not the only one who had such an analysis. The other sovereigns also had such thoughts. Otherwise, there was no reasonable explanation. After returning to the guest house, Night's Sorrow felt a lot more at ease, because his title did not cause any big problems. If the title of Immortal Saint King was exposed, then he would not be able to walk in front of others, because there would definitely be a lot of people who had designs on him. Night's Sorrow, the next stage is the most dangerous because this is the last stage. Everyone wants to be number 1, said Wu Lingfei. Don't worry, Auntie Fei. I'll kill anyone who dares to challenge me. No matter who it is. Even if it's a descendant of a great power, I won't hold back. If they want to step on me, they'll have to pay the price. Night's Sorrow said. That's what you have to do. If you don't go all out, then you won't be intimidating. Then you really have to endure 10 rounds of challenges. If you kill a few at the beginning, then no one will touch you in the next few rounds. Qian Yu also agreed with Night's Sorrow. Qian Ziwei also wouldn't challenge Night's Sorrow. Sister Ziwei, I'm sorry. I didn't think before I spoke. Night's Sorrow looked at Qian Ziwei with some embarrassment. Haha, what are you thinking? Sister Ziwei won't challenge you. Just kill. Some people can't be spoiled, said Qian Ziwei with a smile. Then everyone went to rest. Qian Zhenyu and his wife talked to their daughter and son. They mainly talked to Qian Ziwei. Ziwei, the first few rounds don't have much meaning. You have to conserve your strength. Just stand at the front and observe others. Once you're familiar with your target, then fight with all your strength. Just be in the top 10, said Yinyu to Qian Ziwei. I understand. This is a strategy. I'll also talk to Night's Sorrow and ask him to do the same. He doesn't have enough experience, said Qian Ziwei. Silly girl, he's different from you. He's already in the first place, so he can't come down easily. He'll kill whoever he wants. He doesn't need any strategy, said Qian Zhenyu as he shook his head. After being stunned for a moment, Qian Ziwei nodded. She also understood the logic. Different positions meant different tactics. Father, mother, this brother of mine is quite powerful, right? Said Qian Yu with a smile. Qian Zhenyu and Yinyu both smiled. They knew in their hearts that Night's Sorrow wasn't just powerful. In this year's first sage ceremony, Night's Sorrow was destined to be the most dazzling. If he could reach the top of the 9 Heavens Pagoda, as long as his actual combat ability wasn't weak, he was destined to have a good ranking. Night's Sorrow's actual combat ability was weak? No one believed this because during the selection, Night's Sorrow had slaughtered everyone. At that time, Although there were good and bad contestants, there weren't any rookies. After resting for a night, Knight Sorrow washed up, tidied up his robe, and casually waved the reincarnation spear to warm up his body. The Qian sisters watched from the side. They didn't understand what Knight Sorrow was cultivating when he waved the reincarnation spear at the half-step king's level. This was because Knight Sorrow's reincarnation spear had no energy, laws or willpower. It was just a simple swing of the spear. After Knight Sorrow put away the spear, he put it back in the holster on his back. At this time Qian Ziwei asked. She couldn't suppress her curiosity, and wanted to know what Knight Sorrow was cultivating. I didn't cultivate anything. For many years, I have this habit. When I have nothing to do, I will wave the spear in the morning to warm up my muscles and bones. I want to find the feeling of the spear. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. I thought you were cultivating some heaven-defying consummate skill. Qian Ziwei looked at Knight Sorrow with disdain. Sister Ziwei, you think too much. When we are ready, we will set off. I don't know how many days the 10 battles will take. Knight Sorrow knew that Qian Ziwei and the others were waiting for him. Soon after, the group arrived at the Nine Heavens Square. There were more people than before. Today the battles would start in pairs. It was a real battle between experts. In addition, the situation of the arena was different from a few days ago. It was newly arranged. At the edge of the arena, there was a row of chairs. Knight Sorrow glanced at it, and found that there were exactly 100 chairs. This meant that those were the seats of the top 100 participants of the first sage ceremony. You have seen it. Now go to your seats. Sit according to the ranking of the Nine Heavens Tower. King Yuqiong said to Knight Sorrow and the other participants who had entered the top 100. Hearing Sovereign Yuqiong's words, the participants who had entered the top 100 started to sit down. Knight Sorrow was the last to sit down. His seat was very close to the main seat of the sovereigns. After seeing Knight Sorrow sit down, the 7 Rain sovereigns smiled and nodded at Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands in return. He knew that those who could sit in the main seat were all powerful people. When he cupped his hands in return, Knight Sorrow was facing all the sovereigns. They were all seniors. Those who could cultivate to the sovereign realm were worthy of respect. When they saw Knight Sorrow cupping his hands, the other sovereigns nodded. Only the Grey Cloud sovereign ignored Knight Sorrow. Chapter 1021. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love go/small? I'll provide you with a wonderful novel to read. Read the full text. Then, Yuqiong King walked to the middle of the arena. Everyone knows the rules. However, to prevent any mistakes, I'll repeat it again. You are not allowed to use soul doppelgangers or poison. You are allowed to forfeit. Forfeiting 1 round is only the result of 1 round. You can continue to fight in the next round. Yuqiong King explained the challenge mode in detail. After explaining the rules, Yuqiong King bowed to the main seat. All right, you may begin. The Purple Cloud Sovereign nodded. With the Purple Cloud Sovereign's words, the ranking challenge officially began. First, it was the 100th place. He stood on the arena and pointed at the 93rd place. It looked like he was pointing at random, but in fact, it was not. In fact, all the contestants had done some research on who they could challenge and who they couldn't. Knight Sorrow didn't do that because it was his last battle. He could watch the previous battles. Besides, even if he checked the information, he could only find the surface. Some people's unique skills couldn't be found out. Some things on the surface were useless. Permanent S exempt 0 fee look equals. Small 5 says E after fighting for half an hour, the 100th place really won. He changed seats with the 93rd place. The new 100th place had just fought, so naturally, he couldn't continue to fight. The next battle was the challenge of the 99th place. The 99th place wasn't as lucky as the previous one, so he failed the challenge. Then the battle went on. There were people specifically recording it, so there wouldn't be any mistakes. This time it didn't stop in the evening. When the sky turned dark, a bonfire was lit in the arena. The challenge mode was a cycle of battles. They had to fight until the end. In such a cycle of challenges, there was no rest. Because after a round, the person who started the challenge would have rested. When the bonfire was lit, the 50th place was challenged. Knight Sorrow watched other people's battles and learned from their battle experience. To be honest, Knight Sorrow's battle power was strong, but his real battle experience was still lacking compared to others. Knight Sorrow was young, so he didn't have much contact with peak stage Saint Kings and half-step King Saints. These contestants had lived for thousands of years. His experience wasn't as good as theirs. This scene was what he needed. There were all kinds of cultivators, and all kinds of styles. This was also the reason why there were so many people watching outside the arena. This was a chance to increase one's experience and knowledge. At this moment, Knight Sorrow turned his head and realized that Saint King Slaughter was looking at him. 3,000 years ago, there were two ferocious fellows. That time, I had no choice but to take third place. This time, I'll fight it out with you. Saint King Slaughter looked at Knight Sorrow and said, "Then let's do it." Knight Sorrow nodded at Saint King Slaughter. He felt that although Saint King Slaughter was murderous, he was still an upright person. There was only fighting spirit in his eyes, and there was no evil. "Young man, you're amazing. I admire you. You're willing to give it one more shot before the end of your life. Even if you can't break through, you won't have any regrets." Saint King of Slaughter turned his head and said. These words were not only for Knight Sorrow, but also for himself. When the opportunity comes, naturally you'll break through. If you don't break through, it's because the opportunity hasn't arrived yet. "The time isn't right yet," Knight Sorrow replied. "Good. Well said. If you and I don't die after this challenge, we'll drink until we're drunk," Saint King of Slaughter said. "I won't die. I'll wait for you," Knight Sorrow said. "You're talking too big. It's not up to you to decide whether you'll die or not." Black Demon Sage King, who was ranked third, narrowed his eyes at Knight Sorrow. "Remember this saying well. If you don't seek death, you won't die. If you want to seek death, then no one will stop you." Knight Sorrow replied. He hated people who didn't do anything but open their mouths to bite people. "You're the one who keeps seeking death." Shang Zhengxian, who was still some distance away from Knight Sorrow, continued the conversation. "I can't win against you guys. You've won. Let's talk with our strength on the arena." Knight Sorrow didn't want to talk anymore. There were too many despicable people. Black Demon King was despicable, and so was Shang Zhengxian. Knight Sorrow was still watching the battles. He realized that there was only one person who had a high-level attribute. It was the rule of death, but he hadn't grasped the power of will. This made Knight Sorrow realize that high-level attributes were indeed rare. The Peak Saint King with the death attribute didn't enter the Half-Step King because he couldn't grasp the will of death. The battles continued. In the middle of the night, Black Wind fought a battle and entered the top 30. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands at Black Wind, congratulating him. It wasn't easy to win a battle. The battles continued. Then Tiannan Dynasty's Yuan Han also advanced, but he was still outside the top 20. He only advanced 3 places. Next was Qian Ziwei, but she didn't succeed. Her opponent's attacks were very violent. It was the Half-Step King with the fire attribute. After her defeat, Qian Ziwei retained her original position. The other person Knight Sorrow paid more attention to, Song Wushang, also won and entered the top 20. After 2 more battles, it was Chun Bai's turn. Chun Bai's opponent was the Half-Step King. He was very strong, and his will was also a mixed will. It was the will of wind and fire, and his speed was relatively fast. Chun Bai's will of earth thunder was both defensive and offensive. His opponent was fast, but he couldn't gain the upper hand. Knight Sorrow knew that Chun Bai didn't really use his full strength. When Chun Bai fought with Qian Yu, Chun Bai used the will of earth to support the gravity suppression. Gravity suppression was an ultimate move that countered speed. His speed would be greatly reduced. Knight Sorrow also knew that Chun Bai wanted to preserve his trump card. After all, it was only the first round. He couldn't kill his opponent with brute force, so he had to preserve his trump card and win. When Knight Sorrow was predicting when Chun Bai would use the gravity suppression, Chun Bai used another ultimate move. It was a lightning sword technique. It was a set of sword techniques that directly blocked the opponent's path of movement. Then he started to attack. Chun Bai's 2-sword chi pierced through the man's body. Just as he was about to kill him, his opponent surrendered. Chun Bai reached the 12th place. He was already close to the top 10. Night Sorrow stretched his neck. He knew that after entering the top 10, someone would challenge him. The challenges continued. In the blink of an eye, it was the 10th place. The 10th place didn't bite off more than he could chew. He only challenged the 8th place, but he also failed. After all, the 8th place in the 9 Heavens Tower was very strong. The 9th place directly surrendered and gave up the challenge. Actually, this was a wise choice. He would stay still and watch others fight. That way he would have a higher chance of winning. The 8th place also gave up the challenge. Then it was Shang Zhengshuan's turn. Shang Zhengxian walked onto the stage and pointed his long sword at Night Sorrow. It's finally my turn. Night Sorrow, come out and die. Chapter 1022. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? Shuo.net provides you with wonderful novels to read. MyAnhuating.com has almost all the books you want to read. It is much more stable than other websites and updates faster. It is all text and has no advertisements. Go to hell. Shang Zhengxian waved his longsword and slashed towards Night Sorrow. Shang Zhengxian comprehended the mystic fire intent. At this moment, his longsword was filled with fire attribute energy that was supported by the mystic fire intent. Night Sorrow swung his reincarnation spear and pierced it towards Shang Zhengshuan's longsword. %LC Original 4 Chapter FW on DY. Although he wanted to kill Shang Zhengxian, Night Sorrow still had to hold back. After all, he still had to continue to face challenges. He had to kill his opponents and make them unable to see through his strength. Only then could he intimidate them. Ding. With a crisp sound, Night Sorrow was forced back 2 steps. Shang Zhengshuan's longsword was shaken, and his body was also forced back. After forcing Shang Zhengxian back, Night Sorrow's feet shook and he charged forward. He brandished his reincarnation spear and slashed violently. Shang Zhengshuan's expression changed. He knew that Night Sorrow was very strong, but he didn't expect Night Sorrow to be this strong. Read the full text. After taking a step back, Shang Zhengshuan's body surged with energy. He faced Night Sorrow's long spear and slashed violently again. This time he attacked with all his strength. It was a fire attribute attack that was supported by the mystic fire intent. He wanted to force Night Sorrow back so that it would be easier for him to fight. There was another explosion, and the two of them separated. However, Shang Zhengxian was the one who retreated the most. Night Sorrow's body was at the peak of the Saint King realm. And this kind of strength supported by his illusory true chi was astonishing. With a swing of his long spear, Night Sorrow attacked again. This time, it was supported by the void true chi. Seeing that Night Sorrow was still attacking head-on, Shang Zhengxian roared and slashed with his sword again. This time, the result was different from the previous 2 head-on collisions. A portion of Shang Zhengshuan's longsword's energy was directly melted before it collided with Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. With 30% of his energy depleted, how could Shang Zhengxian fight Night Sorrow head-on? He was sent flying by Night Sorrow's spear. What's the situation? He didn't even use his willpower, but he's already so fierce? Yuan Ling Realm Lord's eyes were filled with surprise. That's a real tough guy. His body has already reached a certain level. The contestant from Demon Moon Field didn't manage to break his body even though he didn't use a protective chi shield. That shows how strong his body is, said No Beginning King. After repelling Shang Zhengxian with a single spear strike, Night Sorrow's feet shook as his body soared into the air, once again lashing out at Shang Zhengxian. When Shang Zhengxian retreated, he once again used his sword to block. Following a buzzing explosion, Shang Zhengshuan's long sword was bent by Night Sorrow's spear. Shang Zhengxian was also sent flying. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear was repelled back. After his body rotated, he continued to attack Shang Zhengxian. This time, Night Sorrow used the ultimate spear of desolation. He didn't intend to give Shang Zhengxian a chance to defend himself. Shang Zhengxian, who was sent flying, saw Night Sorrow charging towards him again. He immediately let out a long howl as his hair stood on end. He had activated his berserk bloodline. When Shang Zhengxian used his sword to block Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear, the energy law on Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear trembled. He had used the desolation law and power of desolation with the technique of vibration energy. Shang Jingshuan's long sword was repelled. At the same time, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear suddenly accelerated. It penetrated Shang Jingshuan's defense and pierced towards Shang Jingshuan's body. Die. At this time, a golden armor appeared on Shang Jingshuan's body. At the same time, his long sword slashed towards Night Sorrow's head. A Saint King grade defensive treasure. Qian Jinyu said in surprise. At this time, Night Sorrow didn't dodge. He held the reincarnation spear in his right hand and stabbed Shang Jingshuan's soft armor. At the same time, his left hand punched towards Shang Jingshuan's head. Reckless. Yinyu stood up. She was worried about Night Sorrow's safety because this was a lose-lose battle. Even if he won, if he was injured, the following battle would be difficult to continue. But in fact, the result was different from what Yinyu had expected. Night Sorrow's violent spear strike shattered Shang Jingshuan's golden soft armor. At the same time, his left fist punched Shang Jingshuan's long sword, repelling it and pushing Shang Jingxian back. Night Sorrow's protective chi shield slashed and caught up with Shang Jingxian, whose soft armor was shattered and his internal organs were shaken. Night Sorrow thrust his reincarnation spear forward again. This time, Night Sorrow used Nihility Extreme Strike. Shang Jingxian held his sword with both hands and slashed at Night Sorrow again. He couldn't retreat anymore because he had reached the edge of the ring. As the two weapons collided, a purple halo burst out from the tip of Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. As the halo burst out, the long sword in Shang Jingshuan's hand was broken. After breaking Shang Jingshuan's long sword, Night Sorrow's body soared into the air. Using his left foot as the foundation, he kicked Shang Jingshuan's chest with his right foot with violent energy. Shang Jingxian, whose long sword was broken, turned his right hand and stuck the long sword to his right arm. He crossed his arms to block Night Sorrow's kick. Pung. With a muffled sound, Shang Jingxian was kicked away by Night Sorrow like a sandbag. The broken sword stuck to his arm was broken again. Shang Jingxian, who was kicked away, spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, Night Sorrow directly used Space Rend. A black Space Rend slashed towards Shang Jingshuan's body. I admit defeat. Shang Jingxian, whose eyes were filled with fear, shouted. Freeze! Sovereign Zishao stood up and extended his right hand towards the ring. He smoothed out the Space Rend created by Night Sorrow. Didn't you want to kill me? Kill me with your mouth. Speak with your strength in the future, you dog. Night Sorrow scolded and cupped his hands towards the sovereign in front of the ring. Zishao also nodded towards Night Sorrow. He liked Night Sorrow's character. He was usually quiet, but when a gentleman was angry, he was like a tyrant. King Yuqiong then announced Night Sorrow's victory. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards King Yuqiong and nodded towards King Yuqiong. Then he walked towards his seat. Qing Yin stood up and cupped her hands towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's victory was not difficult at all. From the beginning of the battle, he had suppressed Shang Jingshuan's attacks. It could be said that it was a one-sided battle. Then the sixth person stood up. I, Longjin, originally wanted to challenge you, Night Sorrow. But since you have already fought, then forget about it. Of course, I might not be your opponent. This man, who was wearing a golden robe and had a pair of smiling eyes, looked at Night Sorrow and said, a man cannot be afraid. If this round is not enough, then let's try again in the next round. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Longjin. He admired Longjin's magnanimity. What a man! If he wanted to fight, he would say it out loud. At this moment, Longjin looked at Qing Yin. Longjin was the sixth person. The person in front of him was Qing Yin. Qing Yin held onto the armrest of her seat and stood up. No. I, Longjin, do not steal from women. Even if I did, it would be embarrassing. The one in front of the woman, stand up. Longjin waved his hand towards Qing Yin. Then he looked towards the front. Chapter 1023. C_T. Genius 1 second. Remember love/go/little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Read the full article. Do you want to die? The Black Demon Sage King stood up after Longjin passed the fourth place. I want to die. I want you to die. Uf*Ker, I won't say anything about you being useless after living for so long. I can understand that you want to snatch the opportunity. But what are you pretending for? You killed my people during the selections. Today, I will destroy you. A battle saber appeared in Long Jin's hand. Seeing the battle saber in Long Jin's hand, Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. The battle saber was too unique and too cool. The handle was 1.5 feet long, and the body of the saber was 1.5 feet long. The body of the saber was rippling with light. Night Sorrow knew that this was a real killing weapon. The endless sky blade of 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 the endless sky realm. Saint King Slaughter said softly. At the same time, he looked at the main seat. The sovereign of the endless sky realm was sitting there. You know quite a lot. A lady on the main seat opened her eyes. This lady had sky blue hair. Her face was like a full moon. Her almond-shaped eyes were cold and arrogant. Saint King Slaughter stood up and bowed to this lady with sky blue hair. This is the reputation of the endless sky realm. Sovereign Xiantian laughed. That's right. Why are you all looking at me? I just said that he knows quite a lot. After glancing at Sovereign Purple Firmament and No Beginning Sovereign, this lady, who was Sovereign Hylon, closed her eyes again. Very fierce. Night Sorrow realized that this lady was very fierce. Although she had covered it up with a single sentence, when she spoke, her eyes were filled with killing intent. Saint King Slaughter sat down. However, he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He couldn't bear the killing intent that Sovereign Hylon had directed at him just now. At this moment, the battle on the stage had already started. Night Sorrow knew that Black Demon Sage King was going to be in trouble. Long Jin was too strong. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation J. Long Jin had the will of extreme water, and was also of the water attribute. The true intent of extreme water was augmented by the water attribute laws and water attribute energy, greatly increasing its power. Night Sorrow squinted his eyes as he looked at it. This was because there was something familiar in the water attribute of the Dragon Gold. Long Jin brandished his endless sky saber and slashed continuously. His saber aura had already taken shape, and was suppressing the Black Malevolent Sage King. It's not your fault that you're old, and it's also not your fault that your aptitude isn't good enough. I can tolerate your shamelessness, but if you dare to provoke my Hylon realm, I'll kill you. Long Jin kept slashing with his blade as he cursed. Trying to act all high and mighty in front of us? You're courting death. Monarch Halon opened his eyes again and stared at the stage. The Black Demon Sage King was feeling aggrieved. He could not unleash his attacks, and was completely suppressed by Long Jin. Long Jin's saber aura and saber skills were domineering, but he was even more domineering. Seeing that there was no chance of victory for him, the Black Malevolent Sage King knew that he would be severely injured or killed if he were to persist any longer. Thus, he decided to surrender. Grandson, aren't you awesome? Let me tell you now. You're just a bastard. Long Jin scolded the Black Malevolent Sage King. The Black Malevolent Sage King's face turned pale. Long Jin had slapped him hard in the face. It was not only in terms of words, but also in terms of strength. Long Jin went to the third seat and took out a silk handkerchief. After wiping his face, he threw the handkerchief aside and sat down. The Black Malevolent Sage King could only slink to the sixth seat. The third seat was taken by Long Jin. After Long Jin's challenge, it was the fifth place Qing Yin's turn. I give up this round. Qing Yin stood up and said. King Yuqiong nodded at Qing Yin. Giving up now was actually a strategic move. It could also be considered as concealing one's strength. At this moment, the fourth person stood up. Sir, I give up for now too. Those who chose to endure now were all smart people. It was the same in the final stage. At that time, they would be able to see the strength of their opponents. They would be able to see who they could challenge and who they could not. Long Jin, who had just reached the third place, gave up too. King Yuqiong then looked at the second place, Saint King Slaughter. It's not wise to fight now. However, I can't control my temper. Night Sorrow, we will fight sooner or later. Let's start now. Saint King Slaughter stood up and said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow also stood up. He knew that this battle was unavoidable. It might also be the most difficult battle because Saint King Slaughter might be the strongest in this batch. Then the two of them walked onto the arena. I, Saint Kingslaughter, only fight to kill. If you die, then it's your bad luck. Saint Kingslaughter stood on the arena. All right. Victory and defeat are also determined by life and death. Life and death are up to fate. Knight Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and was ready for battle. With a low roar, Saint Kingslaughter waved his battle blade and charged towards Knight Sorrow. Massacre intent, fire intent. Saint Kingslaughter used the fire intent to support the massacre intent in battle. The smell of blood assaulted Yi Shiwen's face. Knight Sorrow's innate bloodline protection shield was propped up. The space intent was also unleashed. With a diagonal slash, his body drew an arc and dodged Saint Kingslaughter's first slash. After dodging this slash, Knight Sorrow rushed forward. The space intent directly cut open the large area of fire energy that Saint Kingslaughter used. Then he stabbed his spear towards Saint Kingslaughter. Kill! Saint Kingslaughter roared. His blade slashed towards Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow's right arm shook. The space intent supported the space intent and shot out a spear attack. Bang! With a muffled sound, Saint Kingslaughter was sent flying by Knight Sorrow's spear attack. The space intent had an absolute suppression on ordinary intents. In addition to Knight Sorrow's tyrannical body, Saint Kingslaughter was naturally at a disadvantage. After sending Saint Kingslaughter flying, Knight Sorrow's protection shield slashed and chased up to Saint Kingslaughter. Then he unleashed another fierce spear attack. With a furious roar, Saint Kingslaughter combined his arms and slashed out again. At the same time, he borrowed the recoil force of the blade light to speed up his retreat. Then he continued to attack. However, Knight Sorrow's speed was too fast. The space intent's energy shield slashed at the space intent, which greatly aided his speed. After dodging Saint Kingslaughter's blade light, the reincarnation spear attacked Saint Kingslaughter with streaks of spear light. Saint Kingslaughter relied on the mystic flame intent to increase his speed. He dodged Knight Sorrow's attacks. Although he was in a sorry state, he could still resist. Since his attacks couldn't land, he couldn't defeat Saint Kingslaughter in a short period of time. Knight Sorrow directly used the space blade. At the back of Knight Sorrow's neck, streaks of space blade flew towards Saint Kingslaughter. When Saint Kingslaughter hurriedly dodged, Knight Sorrow used his trump card, Soul Extinguishing Slash. The crescent slash with a purple halo, under the support of Knight Sorrow's space intent, instantly streaked across the space and slashed towards Saint Kingslaughter's head. Chapter 1024. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Being attacked by Knight Sorrow's soul annihilation slash, Slaughter's face turned ferocious. He tried his best to use his soul power to wrap around Knight Sorrow's soul annihilation slash to prevent the God Pearl from shattering. The soul annihilation slash worked. Knight Sorrow's body slashed in a straight line and arrived in front of Saint Kingslaughter. The reincarnation spear was pressed against Saint Kingslaughter's forehead. At this moment, Saint Kingslaughter, who felt death approaching, gave up resisting. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow withdrew the soul annihilation slash crescent moon blade from Saint Kingslaughter's spirit sea. Why didn't you kill me? Saint Kingslaughter opened his eyes. I need a reason to kill. Currently, I can't find a suitable reason to kill you. Don't make me annoy you. Don't make me dislike you. Knight Sorrow withdrew the reincarnation spear and took a few steps back. Okay. I owe you my life. Saint Kingslaughter cupped his fists at Knight Sorrow. At this moment, King Yuqiong announced the result of the battle. The two of them sat on their respective seats. Powerful. Realm Lord Yuanling stroked his beard and said, Indeed. This guy's killer moves come one after another. He can even reach the entry level of a high-level will like the spatial will. There's no precedent for this, right? The Seven Rain Monarch's eyes were still on Knight Sorrow. Yes, there is in the Xianhuang Great World. I haven't heard of other worlds. Powerful. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's continue reading. Purple Cloud Monarch shook his head and said, this was his inner regret. Even though he had become a monarch, there were some things he couldn't do. High-level attributes were not fated with him. Super Many Good Novels Purple Cloud Monarch had once insisted on entering the Saint Realm with high-level attributes. However, he couldn't hold on for a long time, so he could only give up. Although his mixed attributes were very powerful, he still felt regret. Black Sky, tell me, what price do you want to let him go? I want him, said the Seven Rain Monarch. Seven Rain Monarch, you think too much? That's impossible. Black Sky Monarch said decisively. Impossible? It's not up to you to decide. He's from the Tianding Gate. He has nothing to do with your Xiantian dynasty. I'll think of another way, said the Seven Rains sovereign. Qiyu, do you want to fight? Lord Xiantian asked. All right, that's enough. Xiantian, don't stop him. Qiyu, don't be stubborn. I have my own thoughts too. No Beginning sovereign smiled. Don't make a fuss. He's still young. He has a long way to go. Don't disturb him too much, Sovereign Zishao said. Lord Xiantian nodded. He knew that Lord Zishao was right. This guy is really troublesome. He has already offended King. Things are getting worse. Then Lord Xiantian talked about some of the grudges between Night Sorrow and Tiannan dynasty. The Sage King dared to challenge the king's forces. This character. I like it. Qiyu slapped the table and said. You have to be able to grow. It doesn't matter how well you speak, the Tsangyan sovereign said. Why are your words so harsh? The Seven Rain sovereign frowned as he looked at the Tsangyan sovereign. Why are you so talkative? Who are you talking to? The Tsangyan sovereign growled. So what? Do you want to fight? The Seven Rain sovereign's hair danced in the wind, and mist appeared above it. What are you two doing? If you want to fight, wait until after the first sage assembly of the 100 Realms. Don't hit my face now. Don't be undisciplined, Lord Zishao said. The Tsangyan sovereign and the Seven Rain sovereign didn't say anything. They could fight, but they couldn't be undisciplined. In the Nine Heavens realm, being undisciplined was a serious problem. Everything calmed down. Fortunately, the area where the sovereigns were was shrouded in energy. The participants and spectators couldn't hear them. Otherwise, there would be a huge commotion. Then, the challenges started from the 100th place. One by one they advanced. S, I owe you my life. King the Slaughter turned to look at Night Sorrow and said. That's not necessary. For the next challenge, I'll treat it as if you're dead. Don't bother me, Night Sorrow said. What do you mean by treat it as if I'm dead? I don't like to hear that. I'm old, but I'm not shameless. If I don't fight with you, I have to keep my seat, King the Slaughter said unhappily. Hearing King of the Slaughter's words, the Black Demon Sage King's face turned green. He slammed the armrest of his seat. King of the Slaughter's words were equivalent to slapping his face. It was the same as saying that he was shameless. Hey, if no one challenges you, I'll do it. I think your seat is better. Long Jean whispered to Night Sorrow. Anytime. I think it's better too. Night Sorrow said. Indeed. I like it too, the girl in 4th place said. Then one by one. I was planning to kill a few so that no one would bother me. Seems like there's no need for that. Let's fight. I'll play with you for a few rounds. But remember, don't do anything that disgusts me. I'll kill whoever disgusts me. Night Sorrow said to the row of people at the side. His words were meant for everyone to hear. Night Sorrow's words were heard by everyone, including Shang Zhengxian. Those who heard Night Sorrow's words knew that he was serious. Of the 2 people who fought with Night Sorrow, King of the Slaughter did not say anything disgusting. Hence, Night Sorrow held back. However, Shang Zhengxian did not. Night Sorrow really wanted to kill him. If he did not admit defeat quickly, he would be a corpse now. Actually, you don't have to focus on that place. This place is not bad. My place is also a test. You can all try, King of the Slaughter said. If you want to sit, then sit on the best seat. Of course you can't sit on it. Besides, if you can't sit on it, Long Jean said. You're a good for nothing. Remember, if you want to fight, you must have the confidence to win. If you don't do anything, then you're not confident. Are you still a member of the Halon dynasty? Monarch Halon slammed the table in front of her and shouted at Long Jean. Long Jean knows his mistake. Long Jean stood up and bowed. Okay, it's good that you know your mistake. Of course, you may not be able to sit on it. Monarch Halon finished shouting and pressed her hand down to let Long Jean sit down. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and rested. Although the battle was intense, it was very short and did not consume much energy. As for the next battle, Night Sorrow felt that there were a few people who could challenge him. However, the biggest threat was the fourth woman. Night Sorrow felt a dangerous aura. Although he did not see the woman fight, he could feel it instinctively. She's so beautiful. Even the second place was defeated. It's impossible for the others to defeat the 13th place, Yang Lei said excitedly. The third and fourth place are very strong, especially the fourth place. That woman is not simple, Qian Jinyu said. Jinyu, what did you say? Yinyu asked. She's from the phantom race. You know what the phantom race is like? Qian Jinyu's words shocked Yinyu. Chapter 1025. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? I'll provide you with interesting novels to read. Dollar, Cotton Flower Candy Little Say. Up to 5 new chapters in our #Phantom Doppelganger and Soul Doppelganger were two completely different concepts. Phantom Doppelganger was a talent and a combat skill that could be used in battle. The Phantom Race's Phantom Doppelganger had 50% of the original body's combat power. The most terrifying thing was that the original body and the doppelganger could be switched. In other words, when the original body was in danger, the original body and the doppelganger could be switched, and the one being attacked would be the Phantom Doppelganger. Qian Xiangwei explained the power of the Phantom Race to Wu Lingfei and the others. Then it's impossible to defeat them, let alone kill them, Wu Lingfei said worriedly. Wu Lingfei said worriedly. She was very worried about Yishan. According to Rosebud Qian's explanation, the Phantom clan was unbreakable and had no weaknesses. Not exactly. They still have a weakness, which is violent attacks that can quickly destroy their Phantom Doppelganger. This way, their original body will consume a lot of energy, and they won't be able to quickly create another doppelganger, Qian Zhenyu said. This is a way to defeat them, but it's very difficult. They are also good at speed. Normally, they can easily crush cultivators of the same level. Yinyu said, shaking her head. I believe in Night Sorrow. When I met him, he had just stepped on the path of cultivation. He has experienced countless battles and has never lost. He won't lose this time either. What's wrong with the Phantom Race? Sikong Chiyu said. Yes, I believe in 13 too. Yang Lei said. The battle continued. There were losers and dead. The battle was cruel. This was the price to pay for fighting for opportunities. Heifeng and Chunbai's rankings improved. Qian Ziwei gave up this round. She didn't want to fight now. Every time she used the dark intent, it would cause some damage to her body. The main reason was that she had comprehended the dark intent's destruction intent. This intent was too overbearing, and her body couldn't withstand it. Qian Ziwei originally didn't think there was much hope. However, Night Sorrow gave her a few drops of life spirit fluid. She could fight a few rounds with all her strength. Therefore, she still had to endure in the early stages. Song Wuyue's ranking was still relatively low, at 40th place. However, his elder brother, Song Wushang, had once again surpassed him by a few places. Song Wushang's battle prowess was indeed formidable. After reaching the top 10, the situation was relatively stable. No one dared to act rashly. They all wanted to see the strength of others. As for those who had fought before, they had already shown their strength. It would be unwise to fight without confidence. Therefore, no one wanted to make the first move. One by one, they gave up on this round of reading. When it came to the fourth person, the purple-haired woman thought for a moment and decided to forfeit. Night Sorrow, I'll let you rest for a while. Come, let's play with Saint King Slaughter. We can sit on your side first. Long Jean stood up and said, That's fine too. Even if I can't get first place in the first Saint of 100 Realms, the other spots are up for grabs. Whoever has the ability can take my spot. Saint King Slaughter's mentality had changed a little after losing to Night Sorrow. The battle between the two was very intense. The Sky Billow Sword technique that Long Jean used to defeat Black Fiend was not as powerful as the previous time. It was mainly because Saint King Slaughter's saber technique will rule that could block Long Jin's sword aura. Although Saint King Slaughter was having a hard time defending, it was not easy for Long Jin to attack. After an hour, Yu Qiong knocked on the gong. The battle is over. If there is no winner after an hour, it will be a draw. Lord Yu Qiong, after a draw, how will the seats be arranged? Long Jin asked after putting away his sky billow sword. This seat will not be changed because if you don't attack the opponent, you can't occupy the opponent's seat. Yu Qiong King said. What's this? Give me some more time. I can definitely win. Long Jin said gloomily. Actually, you have the upper hand now, but it's a fact that you can't attack. Besides, Saint King Slaughter doesn't want to kill you. If it's a life and death battle, you have the advantage, but it will be difficult to kill the opponent. Yu Qiong King explained the key points. It was mainly for everyone to hear that the competition was absolutely fair. That seems to be the case. Then you can sit first. Long Jin thought for a moment. After understanding the logic, he calmly accepted the result. I'm sorry. Each battle lasts at most an hour. You can't attack in an hour, so you can't take this seat. Saint King Slaughter said after returning to his seat. Then you can sit. If others attack, I will attack. Long Jin rubbed his nose and said. Can others do it? Saint King Slaughter said with a smile. Hearing Saint King Slaughter's words, Long Jin was stunned. It was the truth. It was very difficult for the people behind to defeat Saint King Slaughter. The possibility was very low. That won't work. According to this rule, Night Sorrow has the will of space and the space attribute. If he runs around, who can defeat him? After thinking about it, Long Jin slapped his forehead. I'm not as dirty as you. How can you think of this idea? Night Sorrow looked at Long Jin with disdain. Yes, you're really dirty. If you can't sit properly, it's useless no matter what you think of. The purple-haired woman sitting on the fourth seat said. The purple-haired woman was wearing a veil, so no one knew what she looked like. Night Sorrow closed his eyes because he knew his feeling was not wrong. That woman was definitely a dangerous opponent. The artistic conception in her words revealed her sharpness. The third round of challenges began. The battles continued from the 100th position. In fact, it had already started from the 90th position. Someone had already died in battle, and the seat was empty. The people behind could naturally advance. Everyone wanted a chance to be in the top 10, but the hope was not high. Everyone had seen the battles in the top 10. The level of battle was not something the people behind could compare to. There was a huge gap between people of the same cultivation level, not to mention the gap between a peak Saint King and a half-step king. Some people who were not confident chose to endure, and planned to show their strength later. Song Wuyue lost. He was defeated by someone who used the same spear as Night Sorrow. Chun Bai and Song Wushang fought their way into the top 10. Chun Bai struggled in the beginning, but after using the earth attribute to attack with gravity, it was easier for him to win. It was the same for Song Wushang. He was not good at climbing the 9-cloud sky stairs in the 9-cloud tower. He was good at fighting. Originally, no one in the top 10 challenged. There were no weaklings here. It was not wise to act rashly unless one was confident. With no one challenging, Night Sorrow sat firmly in the first place. However, he knew that there would be tough battles to come. The woman sitting on the fourth seat would definitely move. No matter how busy I am, I will always keep the book updated at 4 o'clock, so that everyone will have books to read during the Spring Festival. I hope you can put yourself in my shoes and stop urging me to update. I believe that people who read books have the qualities. Chapter 1026. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Advertisement. In the 7th round, Song Wushang started his challenge. His target was Night Sorrow. Hearing Song Wushang's challenge, Night Sorrow stood up and went to the stage. Song Wushang is my younger brother. So you should know why you died today. Song Wushang pointed his sword at Night Sorrow. He is trash and so are you. If you want to kill me, then show me your strength. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and replied coldly. No one touched you in the first few rounds because they didn't use their full strength. Do you really think you have the strength to take the first seat? After this round, you will leave this place. After speaking, Song Wushang charged at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow used his reincarnation spear to meet the attack. Song Wushang wanted to kill him, and he wanted to kill Song Wushang. Both sides wanted to kill each other. After the battle, Night Sorrow knew why Song Wushang was so confident and dared to talk big. After Song Wushang used his trump card, Night Sorrow understood where his confidence came from. Song Wushang controlled sword intent, and it was a sword intent that contained a little bit of death intent. Although it wasn't a pure high-level death intent, even a little bit of it could increase one's combat power. However, Night Sorrow's will of space was a pure high-level intent. He directly suppressed Song Wushang. After suppressing his attributes and speed, he directly used his reincarnation spear to bombard Song Wushang, forcing him to retreat. Among the high-level attributes, the life attribute and death attribute were considered to increase the level of life. However, in battle, the time attribute and space attribute were superior to the life attribute and death attribute. This guy is really overestimating himself. Does he think he can take the first seat with a little death sword intent? He is really thinking too much, Long Jin said. That's right. Even if Night Sorrow can't make the first trade, he won't be able to take it down. He might lose his life, the purple-haired woman sitting in the fourth seat said. Night Sorrow's will of space was augmented by the space law and space energy. His speed was raised to the limit as he attacked Song Wushang from all directions. Night Sorrow didn't want Song Wushang to leave the arena. He wanted to finish him off. At this moment, the Tsongyan monarch was tapping his fingers on the table as he narrowed his eyes and looked at the stage. As a monarch realm cultivator, he was naturally able to see the situation clearly. Tsongyan, I don't want to see what happened to Monarch Demon Moon ever again, Monarch Zishao said. The Tsongyan sovereign looked at the purple firmament sovereign and the other sovereigns. He didn't say anything. He knew that Song Wushang wasn't a match for Night Sorrow, but he felt that Song Wushang would admit defeat when the time was right, and the consequences wouldn't be too severe. But in reality, Night Sorrow had already thought of this. After heavily striking Song Wushang twice with his spear, he immediately unleashed the soul-extinguishing slash. After being struck by Night Sorrow's 2 spear strikes, Song Wushang's true qi and blood became unstable, allowing Night Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash to enter his spirit sea. After the soul-extinguishing slash, Night Sorrow unleashed his space blade. After Night Sorrow unleashed his space blade, it directly tore through space and chopped Song Wushang's head in half. His spirit sea and God Pearl were naturally destroyed, and he couldn't be more dead. Serves you right. How dare you provoke others? You're really blind. Chunbai cursed. That's what it means to overestimate oneself, Qingyin said. At this moment, the green stone ground beneath the Tsongyan monarch's feet cracked, and black energy swirled around his body. His heart was boiling with anger. Song Wushang was his outstanding descendant, but he couldn't do anything about it when he was killed right in front of his eyes. Night Sorrow took Song Wushang's storage ring and weapon, then returned to his seat. As for the Saint Monarch crystal, it had already been shattered by Night Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash and space rend. Next up was the 8th round of challenges. The 8th round was even more intense because there were only 2 rounds left. It could be said that even if they didn't have a 100% chance of winning, they still had to use their full strength. Night Sorrow grabbed the reincarnation spear. He had a premonition that there would be a great battle between the top 10 in this round, because there were only 3 rounds left, and he had to use his full strength. The reality was just as Night Sorrow had predicted. After reaching the top 20, they started to fight crazily. They might die in battle, but if they couldn't enter the king's realm, they would still die when their lifespan ran out. Therefore, everyone had a reason to fight to the death. Qian Ziwei used her dark destruction will, and also fought her way into the top 10. She was ranked 9th, right behind Chen Bai. The top 10 also started to fight, but no one challenged Night Sorrow. Qing Yin chose to forfeit. She could accept being ranked 5th, but after the girl ranked 4th stood up, she thought for a moment and forfeited again. Long Jin stood up and nodded at Night Sorrow. Let's fight. This way, I will be convinced. Night Sorrow stood up and walked up to the stage with Long Jin. At this moment, the spectators who were still discussing quieted down. The battle between the 3rd and 1st place was the most exciting battle of the first Saint of the 100 Worlds. This was because everyone knew that Long Jin's strength was about the same as Saint King Slaughter's. He was even stronger than Saint King Slaughter. Looking at Night Sorrow, Long Jin took out his endless sky saber and waved it behind him. Come. If you defeat me, no one will challenge you. You think too much. I think I still want to fight. Come on. I also want to experience the endless sky saber technique, Night Sorrow said. Long Jin waved his endless sky saber and used the endless sky saber technique on Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow used his will of space to enhance his movement technique. Then he used the time law to attack. This way, under the influence of the time law, Long Jin's continuous saber attacks were not smooth. He could only rely on brute force to persist. At this moment, Night Sorrow also realized why Long Jin's law felt familiar. It was because Long Jin's law contained the void law. However, it was very rare. It only contained a little bit of the extreme water law. After fighting for 15 minutes, Long Jin retreated and admitted defeat. He was already at a disadvantage when Night Sorrow did not use his soul attack or the will of space law. There was no point in continuing the fight. The two of them bowed to the main seats and returned to their seats. I%head_hair. The 8th round of challenges was completed. Next was the 9th round of battles. The sovereigns in the main seats did not speak. Some looked at Night Sorrow, while others were thinking. They had all discovered Night Sorrow's time law and time law. In a cultivator's path of cultivation, there were some special situations where they comprehended some rare laws and wills. For example, a cultivator with the water element could comprehend the laws of life, and some wills related to life. However, they didn't have the same source of energy, so they were only stronger than cultivators with the ordinary element, but not in the category of advanced element. However, Night Sorrow was not. Night Sorrow's time law and time law were of the same source. If he could comprehend the time law, he would be the real king of time. In addition, everyone knew that Night Sorrow already had space law and will. The current situation meant that Night Sorrow had a second high-level element. The sovereigns had to pay attention to this situation. Night Sorrow, your first place is secured, Long Jin said. He accepted his defeat wholeheartedly. One more battle, Night Sorrow said as he looked at the woman in the 4th seat. Chapter 1027. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/small? Shuoff Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Alright, then I'll see what kind of strength you have to be able to give me a sense of danger. Night Sorrow said. Your senses are very accurate. I won't let you down. If you only have the strength you had just now, then you'll lose for sure. The purple-haired woman looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow smiled. He knew that this woman had a trump card. Moreover, no one had challenged her before, so he didn't know how strong she was. After the 9th round, it was time for the top 10. Chunbai challenged the woman who was ranked 4th. Ha! Chunbai was very strong, but in fact he was not the purple-haired woman's opponent. The purple-haired woman was extremely fast. Chunbai's gravity suppression was also offset by the black and white stripes on her body. After a moment, Chunbai was defeated. Chunbai was ranked 8th. Night Sorrow did not know the people in front of him, but he did not challenge them because the people in front of him could not fight. In a situation where he could not defeat them and expose his strength, it was better to protect his position. Then it was time for the 4th place. The purple-haired woman stood up and said, I don't need to rest. Alright, who do you want to challenge? Sovereign Yu Qiong asked. He knew that the purple-haired woman did not consume any energy when she fought with Chunbai. Night Sorrow. The purple-haired woman looked at Night Sorrow and said, the website's pages are clean and there are few advertisements. I like this kind of website the most. You must give it a good review. Night Sorrow held his reincarnation spear and went to the arena. My name is Xiao Zimo, titled Dual Saint King. In this 100 Realms first sage ceremony, the only person who can be my opponent is you. The purple-haired woman looked at Night Sorrow and said, Thank you for thinking highly of me. Night Sorrow held his spear and cupped his hands toward Xiao Zimo. Then what is your title? Xiao Zimo looked at Yi Shang and asked. She wanted to know Yi Shang's title because she wanted to know. I'm sorry. It's just like when you're wearing a veil. Some things are inconvenient, Night Sorrow said. Then take this. Xiao Zimo's body shook as she rushed forward. The scimitar in her hand slashed towards Night Sorrow. Xiao Zimo's scimitar is different from Zhu Jiuyun's scimitar. Zhu Jiuyun's scimitar was shaped like a crescent moon, which is good for cutting. On the other hand, Xiao Zimo's scimitar was long and narrow, which is better for chopping. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and faced Xiao Zimo's scimitar. He didn't know how strong Xiao Zimo was, but he wanted to test it out. As the weapons collided, the two separated. Xiao Zimo retreated the most, but Night Sorrow also felt uncomfortable. A kind of energy flowed through the reincarnation spear and entered Night Sorrow's arm. One kind of energy has two kinds of power. One kind is soft and tricky, and the other kind is extremely violent. Night Sorrow's arm shook a bit and offset the energy. After all, his body can't be damaged by just any kind of energy. After feeling Xiao Zimo's energy, Night Sorrow knew why Chunbai was defeated so quickly. It was because the soft and violent energy attacked at the same time. It was really overbearing. Night Sorrow also understood the origin of Xiao Zimo's title. It's really two kinds of energy. When Xiao Zimo and Chunbai fought, the black and white stripes on her body appeared. Night Sorrow understood that it was the light and dark energy. It can also be called the yin and yang energy. Feeling that Xiao Zimo's energy was difficult to deal with, Night Sorrow used the power of desolates to protect his arms. This way he can ignore the negative effects of Xiao Zimo's energy. With the power of desolates protecting his body, Night Sorrow continued to fight with Xiao Zimo, feeling that Night Sorrow's speed was very fast. Xiao Zimo's body emitted a halo of light. It was the power of the two kinds of will and law. At this time her speed soared. The scimitar in her hand quickly slashed, one slash after another. Night Sorrow's energy shield cut through the air. His speed was comparable to Xiao Zimo's. The two people's weapons constantly clashed. With the power of desolates protecting his arms and Night Sorrow's body, Xiao Zimo's energy couldn't do anything to Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow's attack that was infused with the power of desolates made Xiao Zimo uncomfortable. On the stage, the two people were fighting fast. The situation was still balanced, but everyone knew that neither of them used their killing moves. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry, because he didn't have a time limit. If Xiao Zimo couldn't defeat him in half an hour, then she would lose. Night Sorrow didn't use the will of space. He wanted to see what other killing moves Xiao Zimo had. Very good. The black and white halo on Xiao Zimo's body rippled to her weapon. In other words, her attack was also infused with the power of the two kinds of will. Xiao Zimo's attack was infused with will. Night Sorrow's law of time was displayed, blocking Xiao Zimo's attack. This was the tyrannical power of the time attribute. The power of law could resist less than 10% of the power of the two kinds of will. This is a true battle between dragons and tigers. Purple Cloud Sovereign said. That's right. According to Xiao Zimo's current performance, she won't be able to take the first seat. No Beginning Sovereign said. The other sovereigns nodded. Night Sorrow had only displayed a part of his battle strength. He didn't use the space attribute that he was most proficient in, nor did he use the power of the will of space. I know you are difficult to deal with. Again. At this time, a halo appeared on Xiao Zimo's body again. This time, it was a light blue halo. At the same time, her speed soared again. This was the talent of the Phantom Clan. Xiao Zimo's speed couldn't keep up. After Night Sorrow blasted out his spear, he also displayed the power of the will of space. With the support of the space energy, his speed and attack strength suddenly increased. He was still able to suppress Xiao Zimo. This was the tyrannical power of a high-level attribute. If you have an ultimate move, then use it. It's not enough now. Night Sorrow said as he suppressed Xiao Zimo again. At this time, a series of shadows appeared behind Xiao Zimo's body. Then, the shadows condensed and attacked Night Sorrow. At this time, the people who were originally sitting stood up. Not only the cultivators who came to watch the battle, but the participants also stood up. So strong. Phantom Clan, Night Sorrow is going to suffer now. Long Jin's face changed. Long Jin, who was born in the Hailan royal family, naturally saw the clues. So strong. Saint King Slaughter's face was full of shock. On the stage, Night Sorrow was also very shocked. With his soul power enveloping the stage, he naturally knew that these shadows were energy doppelgangers and had the ability to attack. Night Sorrow directly increased the will of space from 6 to 9, and added it to his protective air shield. His body drew an arc and dodged the encirclement. Then he used the reincarnation spear to kill one of the shadow doppelgangers. At this time, Night Sorrow was also fighting with all his strength. The will of space was added to the reincarnation spear. Then the rule of nothingness and the true chi of nothingness were poured into the reincarnation spear. He directly cut through space and stabbed at one of the shadow doppelgangers. Then, the energy on the reincarnation spear exploded, and the shadow doppelgangers were destroyed. The original 6 shadow doppelgangers became 5. Just as Night Sorrow was about to kill the second shadow doppelgangers, the situation changed. Chapter 1028. C_T. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by small? Talk Web, providing you with wonderful novels to read. At this time, Xiao Zimo's real body and 6 energy clones were rushing towards Night Sorrow. Look, JC is in the middle of a battle. Yishang exhaled a breath of air. His protective shield slashed in an arc towards Xiao Zimo's real body. With his soul power locked onto her, Yishang naturally knew which one was Xiao Zimo's real body. But at this time, Xiao Zimo's real body retreated. She didn't want to take the risk. Her soul clone was enough. As long as her soul clone could injure Night Sorrow, her goal would be achieved. But how could Night Sorrow let Xiao Zimo's real body run away? Countless space blades flew out from behind him, flying in all directions. It was a large area attack. At the same time, Xiao Zimo's real body continued to rush forward. Xiao Zimo's real body retreated. The energy clones continued to rush towards Night Sorrow. 2 of the energy clones directly slashed towards Night Sorrow's path. Golden Phoenix soft armor. Night Sorrow roared. A golden feathered soft armor appeared on Night Sorrow's body. 2 blade lights slashed towards Night Sorrow's body. What shocked everyone was that Night Sorrow let go of his energy shield and directly used the Golden Phoenix soft armor to block the attack. The 2 blade lights made Night Sorrow's Golden Phoenix soft armor flash twice, but it didn't break. As Wu Lingfei's cultivation increased, the Golden Phoenix soft armor's level also increased. However, it still couldn't block 50% of Xiao Zimo's real body's energy attack. Night Sorrow retracted his energy shield, but there was still the will of space to block the attack. It weakened the attack of Xiao Zimo's clones, so the Golden Phoenix soft armor was still able to defend. Quick update: the website's page is clean, there are few advertisements. I love this kind of website the most. Is he confident in his defense and not willing to use energy? 7 Rain Sovereign tapped his finger on the armrest of his chair. If he is confident, then he is a smart person. Because in this kind of battle, energy consumption is very important. No beginning. Sovereign nodded. At this time, Night Sorrow, whose speed has reached the limit, caught up with Xiao Zimo and directly used Soul Extinguishing Slash. The dark purple Soul Destruction Crescent Moon Blade, with the help of the Will of Space, cut through the space and attacked Xiao Zimo's Divine Sense C. Following that, Night Sorrow's Reincarnation Spear also arrived and directly pierced Xiao Zimo's chest. However, when the Reincarnation Spear pierced into Xiao Zimo's body, Night Sorrow knew that something had changed. Xiao Zimo's body had changed. It was no longer a body of flesh and blood, but a phantom energy body. The Reincarnation Spear shook, and Yi Shan shattered the illusory energy body. He also retrieved the Crescent Moon Blade of the Soul Extinguishing Slash. However, at this time, Xiao Zimo's 2 illusory energy bodies slashed towards Yi Shan's back. The Golden Phoenix soft armor flashed twice and disintegrated, returning to Night Sorrow's shoulder. It had withstood 4 attacks, which was already its limit. The main reason was that Night Sorrow's last attack was a desperate one. He felt confident, so he did not consider the attacks of Xiao Zimo's phantom energy bodies. If something happened to Xiao Zimo's body, the phantom energy bodies would dissipate. Knowing that his tactic was wrong, Night Sorrow's body flashed and dodged the attacks of the other phantom energy bodies. Once again he locked onto Xiao Zimo's body. Pushing his body to the limit, he used soul extinguishing slash again to kill Xiao Zimo's body. But the result was the same. He killed another phantom energy body. Night Sorrow knew that he was in a difficult situation, because if this continues, he will not be able to win. All the spectators knew that Night Sorrow's strength was stronger than Xiao Zimo, but if he did not solve the problem of the phantom energy bodies, he would not be able to win. Of course, if Night Sorrow relied on his speed to dodge, Xiao Zimo would not be able to win. In the current situation, Night Sorrow's actions were not shameful, because Xiao Zimo's tactic was not unyielding. If Xiao Zimo's body kept dodging, it would be normal for others to avoid the battle. Xiao Zimo was also very helpless. Before, when she used her phantom energy body, her body and her phantom energy body would fight together. But now, if she got close to Night Sorrow's soul attack secret skill, plus his own tyrannical strength, she would not be able to withstand it. Switching between the body and the phantom energy body also required energy. Deadlock. If this continues, Xiao Zimo will not be able to take the first place. Night Sorrow's speed is too fast, and his space attribute is supported by the will of space. This is too overbearing. If he does not fight, no one below King can win. Yuanling Realm Lord expressed his opinion. Running away is not his personality, he should be facing difficulties head-on. Seven Rain Sovereign said. Facing difficulties head-on? At this time, relying on speed to avoid the battle is the correct choice. Profound Sky Sovereign looked at Seven Rain Sovereign and said. Seven Rain Sovereign shook his head. We have lived for too long. Our thoughts may have become numb. We only think about the result. In fact, the process is also very important. I feel that Night Sorrow is a person who cares about the process. He is young, and his blood surges. Yes, this little guy is not that kind of slippery. He can accept victory and defeat, but he is absolutely unwilling to accept a draw. Sea Wave Sovereign nodded towards Seven Rain Sovereign. At this time, Night Sorrow on the stage roared. If you can switch between the body and the phantom energy body, then let me see how many phantom energy bodies you have for me to kill. After roaring, Night Sorrow took out the sky-piercing spear with the 5-claw pterosaur tendon. His body flashed as he rushed towards the nearest phantom energy body. When Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear pierced the phantom energy body and shattered it, the other phantom energy bodies also rushed towards him. Among them was Xiao Zimo's body. Night Sorrow obviously knew which one was Xiao Zimo's body. He did not have time to defend with his reincarnation spear, so he used the sky-piercing spear to block Xiao Zimo's long and narrow curved blade. Then he used the soul-extinguishing slash towards one of the phantom energy bodies in front of him. Then he used the reincarnation spear, which was strengthened by the will of space, to stab violently. When Night Sorrow killed this phantom doppelganger with a single spear strike, the other two phantom energy bodies' long and narrow scimitars fell on Night Sorrow's back. Chila. The sound of cloth tearing could be heard. 2 cuts appeared on the back of Yi Sorrow's battle robe, but there was no blood. Night Sorrow used the sky-piercing spear in his left hand to block Xiao Zimo's attack. Then he used the reincarnation spear in his right hand to attack the 2 phantom energy bodies behind him. However, the phantom energy bodies that were destroyed by Night Sorrow were once again restored to their original 6 phantom energy bodies. If it was someone else, they might have panicked, but Yi Shang, who had been fighting, didn't panic. He noticed that Xiao Zimo's aura had weakened. This proved that killing the phantom energy clone was effective against Xiao Zimo close combat. Night Sorrow held the sky-piercing spear in his left hand. He used the rules of time and the power of time to resist Xiao Zimo's attack. Then he used the reincarnation spear in his right hand, his feet, knees and shoulders at the same time. He started close combat with the phantom energy bodies. Humanoid vicious beast. Humanoid weapon. Everyone watching the battle had the same thought. At this time, Night Sorrow was really fierce. Even if Xiao Zimo's phantom energy bodies had 50% of Xiao Zimo's phantom energy body's energy, it was still at the level of a peak Saint King. Maybe there was a difference in energy, but with the help of battle techniques, it could definitely reach the level of a peak Saint King. Night Sorrow's tyrannical battle strength was displayed in close combat with 7 opponents who were at the same level as him. Chapter 1029. Genius 1 Second. Remember to love novels, providing you with wonderful novels to read. To read this book, please go to every time Night Sorrow destroyed one of Xiao Zimo's doppelgangers, he would also be hit. But no one saw any blood on Night Sorrow's body. In other words, when Xiao Zimo's doppelgangers attacked Night Sorrow's body, they didn't break through Night Sorrow's body. No one knew that Night Sorrow's body had been strengthened by the power of desolates and now had the laws of time. When he was attacked, Night Sorrow's body's laws of time would offset a portion of the attack's energy. Xiao Zimo's doppelgangers didn't have enough energy, so they were offset by Night Sorrow's laws of time. Naturally, they couldn't break through Night Sorrow's body's defenses. The hand-to-hand combat continued. Xiao Zimo's doppelgangers were constantly being destroyed by Night Sorrow. She was constantly creating doppelgangers to supplement the number of doppelgangers destroyed by Night Sorrow. Are these two animals? Slaughter, you don't have a chance in second place. Longjin said. If Night Sorrow is defeated, he will continue to fight with her in the next round. He definitely won't fight with me, a loser. But if that woman is defeated, she won't be able to defeat Night Sorrow, so she will bully me. Saint King Slaughter said. What you say makes sense. But will Night Sorrow be defeated? Obviously not. That woman is very abnormal. But Night Sorrow is even more of an animal. Her doppelgangers can't break through his defenses, so you just have to wait for that woman to challenge you. Longjin analyzed and said. Currently, the two of them are fighting a battle of attrition. Night Sorrow is enduring the attacks, so he won't have any energy consumption. But that woman's doppelgangers have already been destroyed, so she'll definitely have energy consumption. Let's see who is more ruthless and who can last until the end. Saint King Slaughter said his own opinion. At this time, the battle on the stage was tumbling. A figure was flying around the stage. There were almost all the books that one wanted to read. It was much more stable than the average website. The updates were faster, and there were no advertisements. Don't worry, Dual Extreme's Holy King's energy consumption is much greater than Night Sorrow's. Night Sorrow destroyed her Phantom Energy avatar quickly, but the energy consumption of her Phantom Energy avatar is much greater. If the battle continues like this, she will lose. Besides, there is a 1-hour time limit. Qian Zhenyu comforted the people behind him who were concerned about Night Sorrow. But in fact, it was different from Qian Zhenyu's estimation. Night Sorrow suddenly used the space crack to block the joint attack of Xiao Zimo and the 6 phantoms, and then accelerated the speed of killing the phantoms. As soon as Night Sorrow's killing speed increased, Xiao Zimo couldn't hold on any longer. She needs her own energy to create an energy clone. After using the space crack 3 times in a row, Night Sorrow killed over 20 phantoms. Xiao Zimo couldn't keep up with the speed and number of phantoms she created. She could only maintain 3. Let's see how long you can last. Kill. Night Sorrow's robes were torn to shreds, but his fighting spirit was high. There were only 3 Phantom Energy avatars, so the threat wasn't big. Night Sorrow changed his target and directly attacked Xiao Zimo's true body. He used the will of space and the space laws to support his body. He also used the soul extinguishing slash. Xiao Zimo only had 40% of her energy left. She couldn't create more phantoms. She needed her true body to maintain at least 40% of her energy to create more Phantom Energy avatars. When her true body was once again killed, and her true body moved to the last Phantom Energy avatar, Xiao Zimo admitted defeat. Xiao Zimo also didn't want to admit defeat. But she had no choice because when she was killed again, it wouldn't be a Phantom Energy avatar, but her true body. Night Sorrow used the soul extinguishing slash to kill her. She didn't even have the chance to admit defeat after being hit by the soul extinguishing slash. Look at chapter number 1 of the original edition. The battle was over. Sovereign Zishao stood up and clapped his hands. Half of the sovereigns also stood up and clapped. You two are really good. Both of you have the qualifications to sit at the top of the first sacred ceremony of the 100 Worlds. Xiao Zimo, I can only say that your luck is a bit bad. You were born in the same era as your opponent. Sovereign Zishao said. He had lived for many years, but he had rarely seen cultivators below the king realm. That was why he was very appreciative of them. Many thanks for your praise, Sovereign Zishao. A loss is a loss. I just lost 10 years of cultivation time in the will of heaven and earth. 100 years or 90 years doesn't make any difference to me. It's enough. Night Sorrow, wait until you enter the king realm. Xiao Ziemo looked at Night Sorrow and said, Okay, I'll wait for you anytime. I'm sorry this time. Night Sorrow cupped his hands toward Xiao Ziemo. He knew that Xiao Ziemo was really strong. If he didn't cultivate the 10,000 Dao Tome, it would be very difficult for him to win. Then, King Yuqiong announced the result of the battle. Night Sorrow wore a tattered robe and returned to the first seat. Then he changed into a new robe. Fortunately, his pants weren't damaged. Otherwise, he would have lost a lot of face. There were too many people watching. You're really ruthless. Long Jin gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. That's the real ruthless person. Night Sorrow said to Xiao Ziemo, who was sitting down. I came here for the first place. In the end, you guys have to make way for me. Xiao Ziemo looked at Long Jin and Saint King of Slaughter and said. Saint King of Slaughter laughed. I really didn't expect that after cultivating for 3,000 years, and then participating in the first sacred ceremony of the 100 Worlds, you would fall by 1 rank. You won't. Dual Saint King, can you sit with me? Long Jin looked at Saint King of Slaughter, and turned his head to look at Xiao Ziemo beside him. I didn't expect that you would be so generous. Then, I don't care about 1 rank. Xiao Ziemo said. She understood that Long Jin wanted to protect Saint King of Slaughter's reputation. After all, he had cultivated for 3,000 years and still fell by 1 rank. This would make Saint King of Slaughter a laughingstock. You guys are thinking too much. If you're alive, you can disrespect others, but you must respect yourself. If you're not as good as others, then you're not as good as others. If you give way, then you're looking down on me. If I accept, then that's a disgrace. Besides, the 4th place has 70 years of cultivation. That's enough. If I can break through, then I'll break through. If I can't, then it's fate. If I can't break through, then I'll break through. Okay, then it's settled. We'll respect you and respect ourselves. Xiao Ziemo said. That's good. Let me rest for the next round. After the ceremony, I'll treat you guys to a drink. However, if someone challenges me, then you guys won't have the chance to fight me. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Okay, you have to treat me to a drink. Long Jin said with a smile. He naturally knew that Night Sorrow was joking. After all, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid of any challenge. Haha, Night Sorrow, since you're treating us to a drink, you have to bring me along. Qing Yin laughed. It seems that Saint King Qing Yin wants to let me off. This drink is on me. Night Sorrow said. Not bad. This group of youngsters is different from the previous batch. They all have spirit and breadth of mind. Purple Cloud Sovereign looked at the row of contestants and nodded with satisfaction. At this time, the 10th round had already begun. Night Sorrow knew that the battles wouldn't be intense. The rankings had basically been set. Everyone's strength was more or less on display. Most likely, there would be some battles, but some hadn't. Xikong Qiyu, Yang Lei, and Qing Ji were all very happy. Wu Lingfei, who had a very calm expression, also had a smile on her face. You guys can rest assured. Other than the Phantom Race's dual Saint King, no one else can threaten Night Sorrow. Qian Jinyu said. The 7 Rain Sovereign took a sip of tea. That's basically it. I'm very curious about his title. I'll ask him later. Chapter 1030. Genius 1 Second. Remember to love novels, providing you with exciting novels to read. Please go to read. Then he has to be willing to tell you. Don't force him. There's no need for that, said No Beginning Sovereign. Brother No Beginning may be right, but it's uncomfortable to want to know but not know, said the 7 Rain Sovereign. She still wanted to find a chance to ask. The challenges continued, but there were no fatalities. If there was no hope of entering the top 10, it was not worth risking their lives. At the 14th place, Yuan Han challenged. He directly chose the 5th place, Qing Yin, because that was the highest he could reach. Get up. Although you're a woman, I don't have the habit of giving in to women. You need strength to sit there. Yuan Han pointed at Qing Yin. No Beginning Sovereign, he's challenging your disciple, right? asked the Yuanling realm lord. My third disciple doesn't like to fight, but who thinks she's easy to bully and wants to steal her things? Well, the result is not good. He's asking for trouble. No beginning sovereign sipped his tea as he spoke. Qing Yin went up on stage. Is my seat good? The first two challengers were closer to me. They're more reliable. Who do you think you are? After speaking, Qing Yin's sword appeared. Then, with a swipe of her left hand, a layer of metal on the sword was removed, and a new sword appeared. It was a green sword full of holes. Following that, the two of them started fighting. Only now did everyone realize how powerful Qing Yin was. Aside from the will of wind and thunder that she had displayed in her previous battles, she also controlled the will of sound. He waved his sword, and circles of light flew towards Yuan Han. Yishan knew that it was a sound wave attack. It can affect the soul. How domineering. Longjin narrowed his eyes. A moment later, Yuan Han's right arm was chopped off. When Qing Yin's sword was about to reach his neck, he shouted that he admitted defeat. You admit defeat quickly. Qing Yin's sword was at Yuan Han's neck. I've already admitted defeat. You can't kill me. Take back your sword. Yuan Han reached out to push Qing Yin's sword away. After you admit defeat, I won't be able to kill you. If I can't kill you, I won't be able to hit you. Qing Yin's arm trembled, and her sword's blade struck Yuan Han's face. She then kicked Yuan Han's chin. After kicking Yuan Han over, Qing Yin went up and kicked him. By the time Yu Qiong stopped her, Qing Yin had already kicked 12 times. Who knew how many of Yuan Han's bones had been broken? That was a good fight. Xiao Ziemo said. He's too violent, but I admire his temper. Sluts have to be beaten, and he wants to get to 5th place. His head must be wet, said Longjin. No one liked people who aim too high. Yuan Han's mouth was also slutty and annoying. Sage King Qing Yin beautiful. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Qing Yin. Night Sorrow, you're friends with my 2 junior brothers. You can call me Sister Qing Yin. Qing Yin smiled and nodded towards Night Sorrow. Following that, the top 10 didn't move, because it was already set in stone. After 9 rounds, those who could fight had already fought, and those who couldn't fight anymore. Fighting head-on was just asking for trouble. Cultivators all had their own personalities. If their strength was about the same, then there was no problem. If they knew they couldn't fight, then they would be shameless and ruthless. Yu Qiong asked one by one until he asked Xiao Ziemo. Xiao Ziemo stood up. After Slaughter Sage King stood up, the two of them swapped places. Then Yu Qiong asked again. After asking all of them, he nodded towards Night Sorrow. There was no need to ask Night Sorrow anymore. Night Sorrow wanted to fight, but he couldn't. He couldn't just go back and fight. After confirming that there were no more challengers, Yu Qiong went to the main seat and reported the results of the battles. Monarch Zishao stood up and walked to the arena. You're all very good. The current seats are the rankings of the first holy ceremony of the 100 worlds. I congratulate you here. Now I'll announce something. Next, those who are ranked below the 10th place, go to King Yu Qiong to receive different rewards. After that, Monarch Zishao looked at the top 10 cultivators and said, Congratulations. Tomorrow you'll meet here again. We'll give you your rewards and we'll open the cave. In addition, for the next 3 years, no one is allowed to fight in 9 Cloud City. Anyone who violates this rule will be killed, no matter who they are, no matter where they come from, even if they're monarch-level cultivators. The other monarchs also stood up and nodded. This was the rule of the past, no one could violate it. Whoever violated it and attacked the participants of the first holy ceremony of the 100 worlds would become everyone's enemy. Killing the future elites of the 9 heavens world would harm the interests of most people. It would weaken the future strength of the 9 heavens world. No monarch could tolerate it. Then Monarch Zishao announced the end of the first holy ceremony of the 100 worlds. Let's go. Night Sorrow, treat us to a drink. We also want to congratulate you, said Longjin. Can I say hello to my family? Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He was very happy to have taken first place this time. After arriving at the profound heaven worlds area, Yishang greeted Qian Zhenyu and his wife. After greeting his parents and wife, he went to the place where Saint King Slaughter, Longjin, Xiao Ziemo, and Qing Yin were waiting. Then the 5 of them went to Nine Heavens City and found a restaurant. They asked for a private room. Xiao Zmo, you can drink with a veil, said Longjin. Then I'll take it off and drink. I wear a veil because I don't want others to feel uncomfortable. Xiao Zmo took off her veil. Night Sorrow and the others also knew why Xiao Zmo wore a veil. It was because there was a mark on her cheek. It was called a mark, but it was more like a tattoo. It was a flower butterfly. The flower butterfly was not ugly, but it added a bit of a flirtatious aura to Xiao Zmo. However, it was not suitable to expose it in front of others. It would attract attention. As they drank, everyone introduced themselves. First, Night Sorrow introduced his sect. Then, Xiao Zmo introduced herself. Xiao Zmo was from the Phantom Realm. She was from the Phantom Imperial family. They could find her in the Phantom Imperial Palace. Longjin was from the Sea Wave Realm's Imperial family. Saint King Slaughter was a rogue cultivator from the Profound Celestial Realm. He was from the same region as Night Sorrow. Qing Yin was from the Sky Dome Realm. She was the 3rd disciple of Boundless Mountain. In 100 years, let's meet here and drink again. How about it? Said Longjin. Everyone agreed with Longjin's suggestion. After all, they were familiar with each other. Then they separated and returned to their own guest houses. At this time, the guest house of the Profound Heaven World was celebrating. Night Sorrow had taken first place in the 100 Realms' first sacred ceremony. Top 44 Night Sorrow left the restaurant and rushed towards the guest house. He wanted to meet up with everyone. He knew that everyone should be very happy. Not far from the restaurant, Night Sorrow's path was blocked. It was a woman wearing a light purple dress. It was none other than the Seven Rain Sovereign. Night Sorrow greets Lord Sovereign. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards the Seven Rain Sovereign. No need to be nervous. I am the Seven Rain Sovereign. I have no ill intentions. The Seven Rain Sovereign smiled. Chapter 1031. Aunt Fei, you're here. Have a seat. Night Sorrow pulled out a chair for Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei sat down. Night Sorrow, you've gained a lot this time, but you're also in a lot of trouble. Yes, it's very serious. Night Sorrow nodded and told Wu Lingfei his worries. That's right. Those are 2 sovereigns. They have their own forces. If their subordinate king attacks, we won't be able to stop them. The Tianding Gate won't be able to stop them either, said Wu Lingfei. She had come to find Yishang because she was worried about the situation. After tomorrow, she would have to face some things. Today, the 7 Rain Sovereigns came to me and invited me to join them. I didn't reject them directly. If the situation is bad, I can think of a way out. 9 Heavens City can't fight for 3 years, so we can only hide for 3 years, said Night Sorrow. That's a good thing. Without the sovereigns, we can't stop them from taking revenge. Hiding isn't a solution either. After all, we have to consider whether or not the Tianding Gate will be attacked, said Wu Lingfei. Sigh, I felt good killing them, but I had to pay a heavy price for that, said Night Sorrow, rubbing his head. Let's think about it. If it doesn't work, we can go back and talk to Mr. Xiang. Should we move or hide? Said Wu Lingfei. No need, we don't have to do that. At that moment, Night Sorrow's door opened. Qian Zhenyu opened the door and stood to the side. An old man came in. Night Sorrow greets Mr. Monarch. Wu Lingfei greets Mr. Monarch. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei stood up and bowed to the old man. It was Xian Tian Monarch. No need to be so polite. Night Sorrow, you did well this time. Although you're not from Tianxian World. You're still from Tianxian World. If I can't protect Tianxian World and let the other sovereigns do whatever they want, then there's no need for me to be a sovereign, said the old man, who was Xian Tian Monarch. But this is a big mess. I beg Lord Monarch to protect the Tianding Gate. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Lord Xian Tian. I can do that. Don't worry. If they want to make a move, then let them try. Lord Xian Tian's attitude was very strong. Thank you, Lord Monarch. Night Sorrow felt relieved. However, I have to remind you of something. I can control them to fight on a large scale, but some small problems cannot be avoided. That is the rule, Lord Xian Tian said. What rules? Night Sorrow asked. Now he felt at ease. As long as Lord Xiantian could protect the Tianding Gate, Night Sorrow had nothing to worry about. At worst, he could just send the people around him back to the 9-domain world. Within the 9 regions world, only Saint Kings could enter, and anyone below the Saint King level would be courting death. How many Saint Kings were there in the 9 regions world? Then Lord Xiantian explained the rules of the 9 Firmament World Group. In a battle between 2 powers, if the monarch didn't make a move, the other monarchs couldn't interfere. Battles between forces were common, but it was usually a battle between forces within a world. If one force wanted to cross worlds to fight, it would trigger a group attack from the other world's forces. This wasn't something that an ordinary force could withstand. Monarch powers couldn't withstand it either. If the monarch didn't make a move, the king of one power couldn't withstand the attack of the king of the other world. The monarch's existence was a deterrent, and wouldn't make a move easily. In addition, battles between realms wouldn't happen easily. If there was hatred that couldn't be tolerated, it would be a one-on-one battle. In a one-on-one battle, the person attacking wouldn't be more than 3 levels higher than the opponent. Exceeding 3 levels was a violation of the rules. Breaking the rules was a big matter. No one wanted to become the target of public criticism. Fortunately, this isn't a big problem. Night Sorrow's heart calmed down. So you don't need to worry too much. Our Black Celestial Realm's Black Scale Army exists to fight realms. Moon Monarch and Grey Cloud Monarch won't mess around. Lord Xiantian smiled. After telling Night Sorrow a few things, Lord Xiantian left. He had come to make Night Sorrow feel at ease. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei looked at each other and smiled. This kind of situation wasn't a big problem. Night Sorrow, what do you plan to do next? Wu Lingfei asked. My original body will go cultivate in the will of heaven and earth's cave. My clone will go back with everyone. Since they can't pose a threat to the Tianding Gate, the problem isn't serious. Night Sorrow thought about it and said. Wu Lingfei nodded. The danger wasn't big, so she wasn't worried. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow's original body and clone separated. Night Sorrow's original body only brought the reincarnation spear and a simple storage ring. The resources, Spacetime Pagoda, 9 regions, Origin Bead and Dragon Cauldron were all given to his clone. When they reached the 9 Heavens Tower, Night Sorrow saw that the top 10 people were all there. Even Lord Purple Firmament and King Yu Qiong were there. Since you're all here, let's enter the will of heaven and earth's cave to cultivate. Lord Purple Firmament said. Next, King Yu Qiong, who was standing beside Lord Purple Firmament, stepped forward and explained the situation. The will of heaven and earth's cave was inside the 9 Heavens Tower. As for everyone's situation, the 9 Heavens Tower could tell. When the time came, the 9 Heavens Tower would expel them. After you enter, state your requirements and the will you want to comprehend. The 9 Heavens Tower will naturally arrange it. The rest is up to you. The opportunity is in your hands. Whether you can seize it or not is up to you. Lord Purple Firmament King's body flashed, and he disappeared in front of everyone. Okay, you can enter. I congratulate you first. Lord Purple Firmament nodded to Night Sorrow and the other 10 people. Then Xiao Zimo and the others walked towards the 9 Heavens Tower. Night Sorrow followed behind them. As they approached, the 9 Heavens Tower's door opened. Everyone entered the 9 Heavens Tower. After Night Sorrow entered, he found that there was no one beside him. He was the only one standing there. He understood that they were separated by the 9 Heavens Tower. Young man, you're here. You're the champion of the 100 Worlds' first sage ceremony. So for the next 100 years, you can cultivate in the will of heaven and earth's cave that I separated. What attribute do you want to cultivate? A voice sounded in Night Sorrow's ear. Back to back, Night Sorrow knew that this was the voice of the 9 Heavens Tower. It should be the voice of the 9 Heavens Realm's origin. Actually, I want to comprehend the will of heaven and earth the most. If it's not here, then I can only ask for the next best thing. I want to comprehend the will of time. Night Sorrow said. The will of nothingness can only be found in the supreme worlds. The 9 Heavens realm does not have it. If you want to comprehend the will of time, I can help you. As for whether you can comprehend it or not, that's your problem. Night Sorrow will work hard. Then, I'll have to trouble you. Night Sorrow said and bowed. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, the space changed and stabilized. The Will of Time Cave. Night Sorrow was in the Will of Time Cave. Speak. Chapter 1032. C_T. Genius 1 second. Remember love/go/little? I'll provide you with interesting novels to read. Read the full article. Night Sorrow then sat down at the place where the will to accelerate time emanated. The power of desolates he had mastered was to accelerate time. Naturally, he had to start with the will to accelerate time. His main body entered a meditative state and started cultivating. Night Sorrow's clone followed Qian Zhenyu to bring his family and people to 9 Heaven Cities teleportation array. Then they teleported to Xiantian Heaven City. Xiantian Celestial Realms Interrealm teleportation array was at Xiantian Imperial City. Little brother Night Sorrow, you and your family can stay in Xiantian Heaven City for a while. There's nothing to do anyway, Qian Xiangwei said with a smile. Then I'll have to trouble you to take care of me, second sister, Night Sorrow said with a smile. He couldn't refuse. Qian Zhenyu and his wife bid farewell to Night Sorrow and left. They knew that it would be inconvenient for the younger generation to talk and interact with them. Qian Xiangwei brought Night Sorrow and the others to her residence. Qian Yu followed as well. After the servants served tea, Qian Xiangwei looked at Night Sorrow and thought for a moment. Little brother Night Sorrow, you're now at the center of the storm. Why don't you stay in Xiantian Heaven City? Night Sorrow looked at Qian Xiangwei. He knew that she was protecting him. However, he shook his head. There were rules. Monarch forces couldn't act recklessly. As for fighting Night Sorrow alone, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid. Brother, don't be stubborn. You're still young. There's no shame in avoiding the opponent's edge, Qian Yu said. Thank you. It's fine. The website's pages are clean and there are few advertisements. I love this kind of website. You must leave a good review. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't want to owe anyone. That would be uncomfortable. Seeing Night Sorrow shake his head, Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu were helpless. This was Night Sorrow's insistence. They couldn't say anything else. How are you going to deal with the grudge with the Tiannan dynasty? Qian Yu asked. I don't have the ability to challenge them for now, so I'll just focus on my cultivation first. We'll talk about it when I'm strong enough. I can't let go of this grudge, so don't talk about the big picture. Night Sorrow said to Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu. Who told you to put it down? It means that whenever you want to fight, give me a shout. I'll go play too, Qian Yu said with a smile. It's still early. They have several kings, and I don't have the strength to talk about settling grudges. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Thousand Rose hosted a banquet to entertain Night Sorrow and the others. She also arranged for Night Sorrow and the others to stay. Before resting that night, Night Sorrow told his family about his idea. He wanted his parents and 3 wives to return to the 9 Domains world. They didn't have any status in the Tianding Gate, so it didn't matter where they cultivated. This arrangement is more appropriate, Xueshi said. Night Sorrow looked at Xueshi. Don't even think about asking me to go back. I'm now an elder of the Tianding Gate Standing Peak. I can't just leave, Xueshi said. Night Sorrow smiled and didn't say anything. At the same time, he felt warmth in his heart. He had originally planned to ask Xueshi and Wu Lingfei to go back, but now he couldn't continue. Xueshi was definitely not staying because she was an elder of the Danding Peak. Being an elder of the Danding Peak didn't conflict with leaving to cultivate. After staying in the Mystic Sky Imperial City for half a month, Night Sorrow said goodbye to Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu, and led the group back to the Tianding Gate. When they arrived at the bamboo forest hut, before Night Sorrow could make any arrangements, Elder Xiang and Yin Huifeng arrived. Elder Xiang, I'm sorry. I got into trouble again, Night Sorrow said apologetically. Hee. I've already heard about it. Well done. The Mystic Sky Monarch has already made some preparations and sent word. You don't have to worry. It's a great honor to become the first saint of the 100 worlds. It's something worth celebrating, Elder Xiang said with a smile. When Night Sorrow was a guest at the Mystic Sky Imperial Court, the Tianding Gate received the news. This was extremely exciting news for the Tianding Gate. What did it mean to be the first saint of the 100 worlds? It meant that he was the strongest saint, the strongest person under the king. This was an honor, a great honor. Some people might think that so what if he was the strongest saint? He was still trash in front of the king, but people would laugh to death if they said this. The strongest saint wasn't as strong as the king, but there was a problem that all cultivators couldn't ignore. The strongest saint was the strongest among the saint kings. He was invincible in the same realm. Once he entered the king realm, he would still be able to dominate the same realm. So Elder Xiang already knows. I've offended a lot of people this time. I still have to take precautions, Night Sorrow said. You're right. Actually, the only ones who can become your targets are your family members. It's safer to send your family members back to the 9 regions world, Elder Xiang said. Then I'll go make the arrangements. I'll have to trouble Elder Xiang and the sect leader. Night Sorrow still felt a little apologetic. Don't think too much. It's actually not a big deal. They can't participate in the realm war. As for the one-on-one battles, it doesn't matter. My soul clone is already near the realm teleportation formation in the Mystic Sky Imperial City. We'll know in advance who they send, Elder Xiang said. Seeing that Elder Xiang had made arrangements, Night Sorrow was relieved. Then they chatted. Has your original body entered the will of the heavens cave and started cultivating? Elder Xiang asked. Yes, I've already started cultivating. Night Sorrow nodded. There was nothing to hide. Your comprehension of the will is already not bad. You'll break through if you comprehend a little more, Elder Xiang said. He was looking forward to Night Sorrow entering the king realm. No, it won't be that fast. I didn't comprehend the will of space. I don't think it's worth it. My original body is only 1 point away from entering the king realm. It's too much of a waste to use this opportunity to exchange for 1 point of will. My original body is comprehending other aspects. In other words, the foundation of will that I comprehended previously can be considered as accumulation. Night Sorrow said, Master Knight, why are you messing around? Aren't you neglecting the essentials? Elder Xiang didn't say anything, but Yan Huifeng was anxious. Don't be anxious. You don't know Night Sorrow's situation. He's doing the right thing. This opportunity doesn't come easily. He should cherish it because the will of space can't stop him. There's really no need to waste this opportunity on the will of time. Elder Xiang felt that Night Sorrow's choice was right. One starter VA 100 years was a lifetime for an ordinary person, but for a sage king, it was just a small part of 10,000 years. Using 100 years to exchange for a big future, everyone knew what to choose. Yan Huifeng was anxious because he didn't understand Night Sorrow's situation. He felt that Night Sorrow was stupid to give up on comprehending the high-level will of space to comprehend other wills. After Elder Xiang left, Night Sorrow and the people around him started to discuss the arrangements. Let's all go back. I'll stay behind to accompany Night Sorrow. You all need the help of the space-time treasure pagoda. Don't split into 2 groups. Zhu Juyin said. Night Sorrow nodded. Today is New Year's Eve. Those brothers and sisters who support Myriad Tao Ascension will be rich and happy. Fortune will come to our house. Fuck you, who am I? The Prophecy Emperor, the visit of the Death God, represents a bloody calamity. Cars and whatnot, you know. Chapter 1033. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/little? I'll provide you with interesting novels to read. Please go to read a book. How about this? Auntie Fei's clone will stay with you. My main body will go and cultivate. Wu Lingfei agreed with Zhu Juyin's opinion. Then it's settled. I'll bring everyone back in a while. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. No one objected to Night Sorrow's idea because it was the best and safest way to deal with it. Everyone knew that Night Sorrow valued relationships. Once the people around him were in trouble, he would be in a passive position. Now no one could help Night Sorrow, but they also couldn't drag him down. In addition, Night Sorrow's main body was safe. The one taking care of things outside was also his clone, so it wasn't a big problem. Night Sorrow made his decision. Wu Lingfei crushed the communication crystal of the god-slaying team's leader, Ho Jian, to inform everyone to return. Night Sorrow thought for a while, and felt that the members of the god-slaying team needed some time to return. Thus, he made a trip to Big Dipper City, and gave a portion of the spirit enlightenment pills he refined to Old Zhang in exchange for peak-grade spirit stones. He wanted to prepare more peak-grade spirit stones, mainly to maintain the space-time pagoda's speed. Night Sorrow had a lot of spirit stones. He had obtained a lot in the boundless domain. However, he still wanted to prepare more. He wouldn't use the Saint Spirit stones in the space-time pagoda. After returning to Danding Peak, Yishang waited for a few more days. After waiting for the god-slaying team to return, Yishang stored everyone from the 9 regions world, except for Zhu Juyun, Wu Lingfei, and Xuexi's soul avatars into the space-time pagoda. He left the Heavenly Cauldron sect and teleported to Bipolar City to enter the Wuji world. Please go to read a book. Yong 9, Geo number 6 free FB reading, FB novel. After arriving at the Wuji world, Night Sorrow thought for a while before meeting Yen Tianpa and Lin Ruoxu. Yen Tianpa, who was drinking tea with Lin Ruoxu in the small courtyard, was extremely happy when he saw Night Sorrow. Hee, you brat are ruthless enough. The strongest Sage King is indeed powerful. Uncle Yen, don't make fun of me. I've caused some trouble this time, so Uncle Yen, be careful. If they want to attack the 9-domain world, they will definitely target the Wuji world first. Night Sorrow said. I've become the gatekeeper. Don't worry. My soul avatar will immediately set up camp in 2 Polarity City. Whoever comes to the everlasting world, I'll kill them. Yen Tianpa said. Night Sorrow, since you've obtained the opportunity to cultivate in the will of heaven and earth's cave, does that mean you'll have the opportunity to enter the king's realm? Lin Ruoxu asked hopefully. Yes, there's a great chance. Night Sorrow nodded. 100 years. In at most 100 years, my 9 domains world will have a king. Lin Ruoxu was extremely excited because this would create a precedent for the 9 domains world. A precedent for the 9 domains world to have a king's realm cultivator. I just need some time. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that entering the king's realm wasn't his business, but the 9 domains worlds. After conversing with Yen Tianpa and Lin Ruoxu for a while, and drinking a cup of tea, Night Sorrow teleported back to the 9 domains world. After returning to the city in the sky, Night Sorrow felt exceptionally comfortable. He placed the time-space treasure pagoda by the side of the lake, and transferred a group of people out. Then he set the boat on the lake and eased the heart mirror. In the 9 domains world, Night Sorrow felt at ease. As long as he was in the 9 domains world, everyone was safe. He was the king of the 9 domains world. He was invincible. He had the ability to protect his family and the 9 domains world. No one disturbed Night Sorrow. They all knew that Night Sorrow was very tired and needed to rest. In the profound sky world, everything was handled by Night Sorrow. Everything was shouldered by Night Sorrow. Not only physically, but also mentally. Night Sorrow stayed in the lake for a day before returning to the mansion. Night Sorrow, rest well. It's safe here, Sikong Chiyu said as she pulled on his arm. Chiyu, we've known each other for more than 100 years. I'm really sorry for making you guys worry. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister, I'm really sorry. Night Sorrow said with some guilt. Night Sorrow, what are you saying? Although there are a lot of things to do, we're living well. We were born in this era. We're a generation that needs to work hard. Sikong Chiyu looked at Night Sorrow with some heartache. She had seen how difficult it was for Night Sorrow to walk step by step. 13 Don't say that. We're living a wonderful life. In the past, there were only a few saints in the 9 domains world. Now we're also saints. This is something to be proud of. Young Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said, Don't feel pressured. Relax and cultivate. I'll take care of things. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow felt guilty for not giving his family a stable life. Night Sorrow, when your main body comes out of seclusion, rest well. Our family needs children too. Aoi looked at Night Sorrow and said. She wanted to do something for Night Sorrow. She also knew that Night Sorrow loved children. It could be seen from how Night Sorrow treated the children in the Saint Hall. Yeah. I also want to have children. Young Lei's eyes were sparkling. What Qingji was thinking was also what she was thinking. Okay, I know. Night Sorrow nodded. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow left the city in the sky. He planned to walk around. First, Yishang went to the Profound Mysteries realm and the Nether realm to take a look. After taking a look, Yishang was very happy because the two worlds were very peaceful, and the level of cultivators had increased by quite a bit. After returning from the Nether realm, Night Sorrow went to the Saint Hall. Although he did not manage the Saint Hall, Night Sorrow cared about the development of the Saint Hall. When Night Sorrow arrived at the Saint Hall, he saw many familiar faces. Long Xiansheng, Xian Wenxiu, Shang Luo, and Heavenly Underworld Saint were all there. Jun Xuanji, Taishu Yan, and Lu Qin were also there. In addition, the first batch of Saint Hall's students were also there. A few days ago, the Saint Hall had accepted a new batch of students. Today they were holding a mobilization meeting. Seeing Night Sorrow appear, everyone was very surprised. They had not seen him for a long time, nor had they received any news of his return. Long Xiansheng and the others cupped their hands towards Night Sorrow. Jun Xuanji, Taishu Yan, and Lu Qin also bowed towards Night Sorrow. Uncle! Ning Yan and July both called out. July's eyes were filled with tears. Brother! Yin Yan smiled with joy. And is everyone okay? Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He was very happy to see this group of people. Everyone is fine. It's just that everyone misses Big Brother. Yin Yan smiled as she walked over to Yishang's side and pulled on his arm. Uncle, Chiyue misses you. Chiyue couldn't control her tears, and they started to fall. Don't cry. You are all sovereigns, experts. You can't be like this. Night Sorrow stepped forward and hugged July, patting her back and said, Uncle said that you are July's relative. It's not shameful for July to cry in front of Uncle. July shook her head and said, Chapter 1034. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love go/small? Shua, Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Quick update, the website is refreshing and has few advertisements. I like this kind of website the most. You must give it a good review. What are you all standing there for? Quickly greet the hall master. Ningyan shouted at the new students. At this time, Ningyan was already a mid-level venerable, and he looked very handsome. Greetings, hall master. All the students of the Holy Hall, former students and current students, bowed to Night Sorrow. Ningyan, don't scare the children. Night Sorrow nodded to Ningyan. Uncle, you still haven't accepted a disciple? Ningyan asked in a low voice. Not yet. You and July will follow me to cultivate. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. Thank you, Uncle. Ningyan nodded happily, and so did July. Ningyan, are you stupid? Taishiyan glared at Ningyan. Ah, disciple greets master. Ningyan reacted after hearing Taishiyan's shout, and knelt down to greet him. Get up. Night Sorrow raised his arm, and helped Ningyan up. July, what about you? Hurry up. Jun Xuanji shouted at the hesitant July. Uncle, you have always been the person July respected the most in her heart, and you are also her family. Will this change after you become my disciple? July looked at Night Sorrow. It won't change. It will never change. No matter what, I will always be your family. Night Sorrow nodded. He was also touched because July had always valued this feeling in her heart, and he had neglected it. Mianhuating. CC updates quickly. The website is refreshing and has few advertisements. I like this kind of website the most. You must give it a good review. Disciple July greets master. July also knelt down to greet him. I have been busy all these years, so I have not been able to take good care of all of you. Night Sorrow said as he helped July up. This is really a happy occasion. The day after tomorrow is an auspicious day, Long Xianxing said after calculating for a moment. Then let's hold the ceremony the day after tomorrow, Xian Wenxiu suggested. Alright, when the time comes, everyone will go to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't like these etiquettes, but some etiquettes were unavoidable. After that, Night Sorrow chatted with Long Xiansheng and the others for a while, and told them about his situation in the heaven profound world. The world outside is too complicated. You have to be careful. It's really a case of people eating each other. Long Xiansheng lamented. Seniors, martial uncles, City Lord Lu, if you want to cultivate, you can go to the Spacetime Pagoda. I have already placed it beside the lake in Sky City, Night Sorrow said to them. Taishu Yen and the others nodded. Night Sorrow then asked Taishu Yen in bewilderment why he didn't see any of his senior brothers. It's like this. Yesterday was the day when the Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony began. They all returned to the Medicine Valley, Taishu Yen said. Night Sorrow nodded. Because he was busy, he hadn't asked about the Medicine Valley for a long time. After making an appointment with everyone to meet in the city in the sky the day after tomorrow, Night Sorrow left the Sacred Hall and went to the tea house next to the Sacred Hall. As soon as Night Sorrow arrived at the tea house, Chen Chen appeared with his wife beside him. Brother, sister-in-law. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and greeted them. Come in. Chen Chen happily invited Night Sorrow into the tea house. Then, without making tea, he directly called his wife to find wine. He had waited for many years for Night Sorrow to call him brother. The two of them didn't speak and drank a few bowls of wine each. Has Qianhua come back? Night Sorrow put down the wine bowl and asked. Yes, he comes back to see us once a year. Our second brother and his younger brother were also brought by him to cultivate together. Chen Chen nodded. That's good. You're living more comfortably than me. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Seeing that Chen Chen and his wife were living a stable life, Night Sorrow was also very happy. V forever H forever R Phi caret watch D small plus talk. Don't you have children yet? Chen Chen asked. He knew that Night Sorrow had several wives. Not yet, but I plan to accept a disciple the day after tomorrow. Are you going to attend the ceremony? Father Gu is also in the city in the sky, Night Sorrow asked. After listening to Night Sorrow's words, Chen Chen nodded. Night Sorrow recognized him as a brother and Night Sorrow accepted him as a disciple. There was no reason for him not to go. Night Sorrow left after drinking a jar of wine with Chen Chen. Strolling around Dongxian City, Night Sorrow felt a little emotional. Dongxian City had changed too much. It had become much more prosperous, but the people were still so simple. In front of the teleportation array, Night Sorrow looked at the Tianji Tower branch not far away. The scene of the first time he came to Dongxian City still flashed in his mind. After that, Night Sorrow teleported to Danding City. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow did not go to Medicine Valley, but teleported to Zhuyuan City. When he arrived at Zhuyuan City, Night Sorrow was stunned because the scale of Zhuyuan City today was comparable to Danding City. Greetings, Commander. The City Lord of Zhuyuan City, Zhang Ling, bowed to Night Sorrow. He was originally patrolling, but he only confirmed it after looking at Night Sorrow because it was too rare for Night Sorrow to appear. Zhuyuan City is built so well. This isn't worth it, right? Night Sorrow said. This is the Valley Master's idea. Every year, many cultivators enter the vast wilderness to train, and many people come here because of its reputation. They want to see the commander's old residence, so Zhuyuan City strengthened its construction. Zhang Ling bowed and replied. Night Sorrow could also understand that this was the change. After sending Zhang Ling away, Yi Shang returned to the old bamboo house. He saw Yi Wuqiu in the bamboo house. Uncle, why are you still here? Didn't you go back to Night Moon? Seeing Yi Wuqiu, Night Sorrow was very surprised because he felt that after Yi Qianhua left, Yi Wuqiu and the others should have returned. The family wants me to go back, but I still want to accompany my old brother and look after this courtyard for the young master. Also, I can cultivate in peace, Yi Wuqiu said. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that Yi Wuqiu was a sentimental person and was unwilling to leave. Night Sorrow took out the dragon spirit pill and a few spatial crystals. Uncle, you can cultivate in peace here. You will achieve something. After Yi Wuqiu took the resources, he bowed to Night Sorrow. He was very grateful. This was equivalent to having the resources to cultivate to the peak of the Venerable Realm. After leaving Zhuyuan City, Night Sorrow went to the Medicine Valley. The Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony was still in progress. There were many young people who wanted to enter the Medicine Valley, and the ceremony could not be completed in 1 or 2 days. Night Sorrow stood in the middle of the audience and saw Gong Xian sitting in the main seat of the Medicine Valley's higher-ups. Night Sorrow nodded. As time passed, everyone's lives had changed. At this moment, Night Sorrow had the ability to return to his original state. He stood there like an ordinary person, and Gong Xian and the others could not discover him. After watching quietly for a while, Night Sorrow walked forward, intending to greet his fellow disciples because today's apprenticeship ceremony was about to end. As soon as Night Sorrow walked forward, some people were unhappy. "Young man, can you not block the view? Without cultivation, what's the point of looking? No matter what, you have to have some foundation. Hurry up and go to the back," a big-bellied merchant said. Chapter 1035. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/small? Sure, Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Read the full article. It was not Night Sorrow's character to be yelled at. It was also embarrassing. However, there was also a problem if he continued to walk forward. That was, he would be out of tune with the surroundings. Reveal his identity? That would be making a mountain out of a molehill. However, at this moment, someone saw Night Sorrow. It was Elder Su, who was originally guarding Danding Cliff. "Get out of my way." Elder Su left his seat and walked towards Night Sorrow. When he arrived in front of Night Sorrow, Elder Su bowed. "Greetings, Grand Elder." "Elder Su, you don't have to do this. Night Sorrow is a junior." Night Sorrow reached out to help Elder Su up. At this moment, Gong Xian and the others had arrived in front of Night Sorrow. "Haha 13, you're back." Gong Xian and the others were very happy to see Night Sorrow because they hadn't seen each other for a long time. "Yes, I'm back. I just wanted to take a look at the front." This made people unhappy and disturbed the continuation of the apprenticeship ceremony. Night Sorrow said embarrassedly. "What? Peak Master Tang, continue to host the apprenticeship ceremony. Let's go." Gong Xian pulled Night Sorrow and led the other junior brothers towards Taixian Peak. "You're awesome." For many years, no one has spoken to Night Sorrow in Medicine Valley like this, and even asked him to go to the back. "Other than you, no one else has done this." Tang Qianqian looked at the merchant angrily. Night Sorrow was the sign of Medicine Valley. He was the pride of Medicine Valley, and also the glory in the hearts of everyone in Medicine Valley. Everyone was very unhappy that Night Sorrow had been yelled at. You are not allowed to appear near the mountain gate of Medicine Valley in the future." Lin Jingyi pointed at the merchant and gave the order. Lin Jingyi, who had reached the venerable realm, was now an elder of the Medicine Valley. Since Lin Jingyi had given the order, the law enforcement disciples of the Medicine Valley naturally expelled the merchant. Night Sorrow didn't mind this kind of thing, but the other people in Medicine Valley minded it very much. In the Medicine Valley, you can say that other people are bad. That's not a problem. But if anyone dares to say that the commander-in-chief is bad, that's not allowed. Tang Qianqian said. Night Sorrow didn't know what happened at the gate of Medicine Valley. When they arrived at Taixian Peak, they chatted and drank together. Gong Xian and the others were very happy to know that Night Sorrow was going to accept a disciple. "Tomorrow, our Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony will be over. The day after tomorrow, we'll go to the city in the sky," Huanan said. "We all have a lot of disciples. You really should accept a disciple." Gong Xian nodded at Night Sorrow. After drinking more than 10 jars of wine with Gong Xian and the others, Night Sorrow, who was a little dizzy, returned to the city in the sky. "He's drunk after going out for a while." "Who is it?" Young Lei said with some dissatisfaction. She didn't like others to make Night Sorrow drink. "Haha, it's eldest senior brother and the others. We drank to our heart's content." Night Sorrow took the teapot and poured a cup of tea. "That's right." Young Lei nodded. They were not only Night Sorrow's senior brothers, but also her senior brother and junior brother. Then Night Sorrow told his parents and wife about his decision to accept a disciple. No one objected. Night Sorrow was the lord of the 9 regions. He couldn't not have a successor. While Night Sorrow was chatting with his parents, Night Moon's emperor also came to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow's seniority in Night Moon's dynasty was low, but his status was high. Even the emperor respected Night Sorrow. Yi Tian also came. After Night Sorrow saved him, the two hadn't interacted much. After exchanging some pleasantries, Night Sorrow looked at Yi Shenyue and asked about Yi Qianhua's situation. The old ancestor is cultivating in the family's land. Usually he won't be seen. He only comes out once a year to see his parents in this life. His younger brother in this life is accompanying him. Yi Shenyue said. Night Sorrow nodded. If Yi Qianhua's life was fine, he would feel at ease. Then Yi Linghuan also asked about Night Sorrow's situation in the profound sky world. He told Night Sorrow that if he felt that it was time to fight with the Tiannan dynasty, the Yi family could go to war. With the 9 regions world being completed, the 9 regions world's origin strengthened the display of laws in the Sea of Night Moon. Now there were 2 more saints in the Night Moon. Yi Lingxie and Yi Shenxian had already become saints. The other paragons also had a chance to enter. This situation made Night Sorrow very happy, because this was his family. Of course, in the battle with the Tiannan dynasty, saints were useless. After Night Moon's people left, Night Sorrow went to the lake and drank a jar of wine with Tianyu and Yi Mei. 13th brother, I'm sorry. I still can't keep up with your pace. Tianyu said apologetically. Tianyu, what are you talking about? It's not good to be like this. Let's not talk about other things. Let's drink. Night Sorrow said. When they knew that Night Sorrow was going to take in a disciple, they were very happy. 13th brother, we call you 13th brother. Then when you take in a disciple, we have to call you Martial Uncle. Yi Mei said with a smile. As she grew up, Yi Mei was now an adult woman. Her every frown and smile was full of charm. Moreover, she was already a mid-level saint. Yes, when I don't have time, you two have to guide them well. Night Sorrow smiled at Yi Mei. Ning Yin and Qiyue are good children. 13th brother, I still remember when we lived in Qingxin courtyard. The simple Ning Yin brought us a lot of happiness. Tianyu said. Night Sorrow nodded. He had always liked Ning Yin. He also liked Qiyue's simplicity. The other two's talents were also relatively high. After resting for a night, Yishang went back to the lake on the second day. When he came back at night, Yishang was stunned because the city in the sky was full of people. Everyone he knew and had interacted with before was here. The apprenticeship ceremony was held in the god-slaying team's martial arts field. Night Sorrow's mansion couldn't accommodate so many people. Yishang's gift to Ning Yin and Qiyue was a sacred level weapon, and a defensive armor for each of them. After the apprenticeship ceremony, it was time for everyone to drink and chat. Night Sorrow also talked to Ning Yin and Qiyue. He asked if the two of them were going to the mysterious heaven world. If they were going, he could guide them in their cultivation. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Ning Yin and Qiyue were very happy. Originally, they wanted to go to the mysterious heaven world to take a look. However, they didn't dare to ask. Now that Night Sorrow asked, they were naturally willing to follow. Following that, Night Sorrow told everyone that he was going to return to the mysterious heaven world. He couldn't stay in the 9-domain world for too long. Night Sorrow had offended the Tsangyan monarch and the Demon Moon monarch. Naturally, he couldn't disappear at this time. That would be the same as running away. Why? Hair. When Night Sorrow left, Sikong Chiyu and the other girls were very reluctant. However, they knew that Night Sorrow had important things to do. He couldn't stay in the 9-domain world for too long. Sitting in the teleportation array, Night Sorrow brought Ning Yin and Qiyue to the Tianding Gate. In the small building in the bamboo forest, Night Sorrow saw Elder Xiang talking to Zhu Juyun and Wu Lingfei's clones. You're back. These two young people aren't bad. Elder Xiang greeted. Elder Xiang, they are the disciples I just accepted today. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 1036. Not bad, two good seedlings. Old Xiang nodded. I've known the two of them for many years. I accepted them as disciples mainly because of their resolute and honest nature. Night Sorrow said. Yishang said. In fact, Yishang had accepted Ning Yin and Qiyue as his disciples not because of their talent, but because he wanted them to live a good life. By the way, I've already told Elder Zhu about Danding Peak's disciple recruitment. In addition, Danding Peak can have priority in selecting a batch of people during the annual disciple recruitment ceremony. Old Xiang said. Is that appropriate? Don't let the other peaks be dissatisfied. Night Sorrow said. No, Danding Peak is newly established. The sect must support it. Everyone understands this. Old Xiang shook his head. After a while, Old Xiang left. Ningyan Chiyue, Master's place is a little more difficult because Danding Peak is newly established. You two should find a place to live. Night Sorrow said to Ningyan and Chiyue. Master, don't worry. We're not children. Ningyan said with a smile. Yishang nodded. He knew that Ningyan and Chiyue's experience wasn't low. They had been training frequently these past few years. In the following days, Night Sorrow refined pills and weapons every day while guiding Ningyan and Chiyue in their cultivation. Even when Night Sorrow was busy, Zhu Juyun, Wu Lingfei and Xueshi would guide Ningyan and Chiyue in their cultivation. Night Sorrow, you're a Saint King grade weapon refiner. Why don't you refine Saint King grade weapons for them? Saint artifacts are the ones that should be given as a disciple. Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said, treasures arouse the envy of others. With their current cultivation, they can't go out with Saint King grade weapons. Night Sorrow glanced at Xueshi and said, I didn't think it through. Xueshi understood Night Sorrow's meaning. Ningyan and Chiyue were shocked because the highest grade weapons they had come into contact with were saint artifacts. In the 9 regions world, they could only forge high-grade spirit artifacts. But their master could forge Saint King grade artifacts now. Don't be surprised, your honored master is not only a Saint King grade artifact refiner, he's also a Saint King grade alchemist, Zhu Jiuyun said to Ningyan and Chiyue, who were both in a daze. You two. Why are you telling the children these things? Yishang glared at Zhu Jiuyun. Master, in addition to cultivating true energy and battle skills, can we also cultivate alchemy and artifact forging? Asked Chiyue. That's fine. This is also a way to cultivate your soul power. Tell me what you want to learn after you've thought it through. In addition, guiding you in your cultivation is your master's personal matter. If you want to cultivate alchemy or artifact forging, you must join the Tianding Gate because that is the inheritance of the Tianding Gate, Night Sorrow said. That's not a problem. Senior brother, what do you plan on cultivating? I'll choose the remaining ones, Chiyue said while looking at Ningyan. Refining weapons is a rough job. It's not suitable for you. I'll cultivate in refining weapons. Junior sister, you can cultivate in alchemy with master, said Ningyan. Then Night Sorrow brought the two of them to the main hall of Danding Peak. Yu Yangyu presided over the ceremony for them to join the sect. The two of them also paid their respects to their grandmaster, Yu Yangyu. With the support of pills, Yu Yangyu was now working hard to comprehend the laws. Night Sorrow prepared some saint crystals for the people of Medicine Valley. As for whether they could comprehend it or not, it was up to fate. Then Night Sorrow brought Ningyan and Chiyue back to the bamboo grove. Ningyan and Chiyue built a bamboo house to live in next to the tranquil Heart Villa. Night Sorrow's life was very quiet. His clone couldn't cultivate the basics or comprehend the intent. He could only work on his support skills. The finished products of alchemy and artifact forging were handed over to Elder Zhang in Big Dipper City to manage and earn some profit. Elder Zhang's Heaven Do shop was very popular now because the pills, weapons, and armor sold were all of the best quality. In addition, after communicating with Night Sorrow, the Heaven Do shop also accepted the forging of Saint Monarch weapons and Saint Monarch pills. In other words, cultivators could customize them. Of course, the price of custom-made pills and weapons was higher. Night Sorrow went to the Heaven Do shop again. Elder Zhang asked Night Sorrow to wait, because someone wanted to customize a weapon. While Night Sorrow was drinking tea, Elder Zhang brought a middle-aged man and a woman into the VIP building. The middle-aged man was wearing a long robe with long hair. The most special thing about him was that he was barefoot. The woman had an agile aura. Seeing the two of them, Night Sorrow stood up because he couldn't see through the man's cultivation. He was obviously king. First saint of 100 worlds, strongest Saint Monarch, Night Sorrow. The man in the long robe sized up Night Sorrow and said, Night Sorrow greets Sir King. Night Sorrow cupped his fist to the young man. There's no need for formalities. I'm Big Dipper, and this is my youngest daughter. She doesn't have a suitable weapon right now, so I want to customize one, Big Dipper said. He was the overlord of Big Dipper City, Big Dipper Sovereign. Tell me, King. If possible, I won't delay Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow said, I have seen the weapons you forge. The quality is not bad, not worse than the weapons made by those old guys, so I don't want to trouble others. Also, my daughter has 3 attributes. A Saint Monarch weapon with 3 attributes is not something ordinary people can forge. 7-Star King explained to Night Sorrow. After glancing at the woman beside 7-Star King, Night Sorrow nodded. A wind, water, and fire triple attribute weapon. The difficulty lies in the compatibility of the water and fire attribute spirit arrays. Perhaps I can give it a try, but I have never forged such a weapon before. Fine. If you fail, I won't say anything. I'll pretend that nothing happened. If you succeed, I'll give you a mansion in Big Dipper City. There's also a big shop next to it. It's also yours, Big Dipper Sovereign said. #####. 7-Star King, don't worry about trouble. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Trouble? Haha, you are a smart man. Trouble and benefits are relative. If I can help you solve your problem, I will also leave a Saint Monarch alchemist and artifact refining grandmaster in 7-Star City. 7-Star King laughed after hearing Night Sorrow's words. After the first sacred ceremony of the 100 Worlds, ordinary people didn't know the details, but 7-Star King knew. As he paid attention, 7-Star King learned about Night Sorrow's situation. At the same time, his daughter just happened to need a weapon, so he had an idea. Many thanks for 7-Star King's appreciation, Night Sorrow said. There are some things I still need to tell you. This king doesn't doubt that you can enter King's realm. Whether it is the Demon Moon realm or the Sky Dome realm, this king will deal with as much trouble as he can. However, if you have a conflict with the South Sky Dynasty, don't live in 7-Star City. This king doesn't like infighting, so he doesn't want to have any conflicts with anyone from the profound heaven world. 7-Star King stated his principles. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that 7-Star King was a man of principles, but Night Sorrow wasn't someone without principles. He wasn't willing to accept a favor for no reason. Speak. Chapter 1037. I'll accept the forging of this weapon. Just leave behind the requirements and the blueprint. I don't need anything else. Night Sorrow, I'm not a troublemaker, and I don't want to be one. Night Sorrow expressed his attitude. It's good for young people to be persistent. Beixing, tell him the requirements. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Big Dipper King was stunned for a moment before nodding to his daughter. The woman, who was brimming with spirit energy and wearing a white female battlesuit, handed Yichang a blueprint and a storage ring. The style and requirements are on this. The 2 sets of materials are in the storage ring. I only know how to use 1 set of materials. If it succeeds, then it's a success. If it fails, then it means I'm not capable enough. I'll be back in half a month. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Big Dipper King and Beixing. Then he left a jar of good wine for Elder Zhang and left. My lord, this guy is a person with character. He won't easily accept the kindness of others, Elder Zhang said. He's only a little over 100 years old. It would be strange if he didn't have a character. Housekeeper Zhang continued to pay attention to this matter. After saying this, Big Dipper King left the Heaven Do shop with his daughter. Then, with a few flashes, they arrived at a picturesque courtyard in Big Dipper City, the Big Dipper Manor. This was his residence. On why father, he's a problem, Beixing said after brewing a pot of tea. It's a problem, but it's not a big problem. First of all, my lord is protecting him. The Tianding King of the Tianding Gate and Yin Tian Po of the Wuji realm are standing by his side. Regardless of whether it's the Moon Demon realm or the Grey Cloud sect, they can't make a move on a large scale. Moreover, he obtained the honor of being the first saint of the 100 realms for the profound sky world. As the king of the profound sky world, I should do something. Big Dipper smiled at his daughter. A half-step king at his age is indeed worthy of attention. The main thing is that he has a bright future. It's just that this guy won't accept this kindness. Beixing smiled. It's normal that he won't accept it. How can a courageous and dignified cultivator easily accept the kindness of others? Let's see if he can refine a satisfactory weapon for our family's baby in half a month's time. Big Dipper King said with a smile. No matter which world it was, the monarch was the core. The will of the monarch was respected by all monarchs. The sovereigns wouldn't care about the conflicts in their world, but if there was trouble or danger in their world, whoever turned a blind eye to it would incur the sovereign's disgust. Every sovereign didn't want to be bothered by others. Moreover, every sovereign had the ability to see the big picture. If their world's reputation was lost, then no one would be proud. Of course, there were exceptions. Night Sorrow took the materials and blueprints back to the bamboo grove and began to research. This was not an easy task. If it was easy, Big Dipper King would have arranged for someone to do it a long time ago. If it wasn't for the clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall raising its cultivation to the Saint King level, he wouldn't have dared to take it. Now he still had some confidence. Night Sorrow first took out his ordinary materials to refine. He wanted to test the compatibility of the spirit array. Night Sorrow designed 3 types of spirit arrays: the Feng Shui compound array, the wind and fire compound array, and the most difficult one, the water and fire dual array. Night Sorrow used 3 days to refine a tri-attribute spirit artifact. The spirit arrays were perfectly integrated. It was just that the materials were low-grade, so the result was a spirit artifact. Night Sorrow knew it was enough. He changed to high-grade materials and refined it according to the method used to refine spirit artifacts. Night Sorrow, the spirit artifact you refined is of little value, Wu Lingfei said as she poured Night Sorrow a cup of tea. Yes, it is of little value to ordinary people, but this is custom-made by King. Night Sorrow smiled and told her about his meeting with Big Dipper King. Rope him in. Wu Lingfei asked the question in her heart. It's possible, but whether it's the Grey Cloud sect or the Demon Moon world, if they touch me, it would be like slapping the Sky Profound World's face. Sky Profound World's king wouldn't be willing. However, I refused. I don't want to owe anyone a favor. I don't want to be burdened with debt. Night Sorrow said. But the idea of a shop is not bad. Even if you don't want his shop, you can set up your own. After all, you are an alchemist and an artifact refiner. You can use this to make a living and earn cultivation resources, Zhu Juyun said. Zhu Juyun said. All cultivators knew that regardless of whether it was alchemy or equipment forging, the profits they could make were huge. That's a good idea. You can never have too many resources. In any case, we can't cultivate. It's not bad to open an alchemy and artifact refinement shop. Night Sorrow also had this idea. After that, Night Sorrow worked hard. He used 6 days to refine the Saint Ruler artifact that Bei Xing wanted. Bei Xing's father was a king, so he brought high-grade materials. Night Sorrow was able to refine a high-grade Saint Ruler artifact. This was the highest-grade weapon Night Sorrow had ever refined. Holding this shining sword, Night Sorrow was very satisfied. He believed that Bei Xing would also be satisfied. After all, king artifacts were hard to come by. A high-grade Saint Ruler artifact was a top-grade weapon. After resting for a few more days, Yishan arrived at the Heaven Do store with the weapons he had refined. At that moment, Old Zhang and Bei Xing were talking in the Heaven Do shop. Old Zhang used to be the housekeeper of Big Dipper King's courtyard. Now he was helping Big Dipper King with his business and collecting information. When Night Sorrow arrived, Old Zhang and Bei Xing came out of the VIP room. Teacher Night, how is it? Old Zhang asked with a smile. How should I put it? It depends on whether Miss Bei Xing is satisfied or not. Night Sorrow took out the sword he had refined and placed it on the table in front of him. Looking at the shining sword, Bei Xing's eyes lit up. It was exactly the same as the blueprint she had drawn. She held the sword in her hand and waved it a few times. Bei Xing was very happy. Not bad, it's much better than I expected. I thought a low-grade Saint Ruler artifact would be enough. Being able to refine a mid-grade Saint Ruler artifact was already beyond my expectations. I didn't expect Teacher Night to refine a high-grade Saint Ruler artifact. As long as Miss Bei Xing is satisfied, that's good. Here are the remaining materials. Night Sorrow put the spatial ring Bei Xing had given him on the table. I'm satisfied, very satisfied. The materials are yours. Also, you can take over the shops and mansions my father promised, Bei Xing said as she studied the Saint Ruler artifact in her hand. I can take the shops and mansions, but the remuneration is a bit high. I can take out some Holy Spirit stones to make up for the difference. Big Dipper City was the core city of the Big Dipper Sovereign King's forces. The shops and residences in the city were all very expensive. The value of a single shop was very high. Why doesn't this weapon have a name? Beixing asked after looking at the sword. Then what name do you want? I can refine it now. Knight Sorrow said. He had made it according to the blueprint, and there were no other requirements. Not every refiner will have their own signature when they make a satisfactory product. This sword doesn't have your name on it, Beixing said. Speak. 6th update. Yes, this year will have a perfect ending. Next year, we will conquer the world again. Please give me a red packet for the new year. Chapter 1038. C_T. Genius 1 second remember love/go/small? Shua Annette provides you with wonderful novels to read. Almost all the books you want to read are here. It's much more stable than the average website and updates faster. There are no advertisements. I believe that you will become a great master in the future. Come, your work must have a name, Beixing insisted. Master Knight, this is a tradition. It's also a form of respect for master blacksmiths, the elder nodded. Beixing then gave the sword a name, Clear Moon Sword. Knight Sorrow carved the words Clear Moon Sword on the sword and carved the word Shang on the inside of the handle. Enemy Shang not bad, Knight Sorrow said after finishing. Thank you, Master Knight. Now come with me to take over the shop, Beixing said after putting away the sword. I will buy the shop. Just give me a discount. Old Zhang, after I start the business, I will also provide the resources here. Please don't mind, Knight Sorrow said. Enough for you to buy? Are you not going to give our Big Dipper City some face? A man should be more straightforward. This is not the style of the strongest holy king. Beixing glared at Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. He could take over the shop. As for the future, he would think about it later. After all, he had helped Beixing forge a high-grade Holy King weapon. Changing to a small shop was not too much. Knight Sorrow then realized that his idea was a bit ridiculous. The shop that Beixing wanted him to take over was not a small shop at all. It was a large shop with 4 floors. The location was also very good. How is it? Are you satisfied? Beixing stood in front of the shop called Treasure Hunting Pavilion and asked Knight Sorrow. This is not appropriate. Knight Sorrow shook his head. First, release why there is nothing inappropriate about it. Big Dipper City belongs to my family. You helped me forge a Holy King weapon and I give you a shop. If you don't accept it, you are looking down on me and Big Dipper City, Beixing said to Knight Sorrow. Is this really okay? Knight Sorrow felt a little helpless. This Beixing was too domineering. However, this was also normal. Beixing had an overlord-class father. Beixing was also right. This Big Dipper City belonged to him. Very suitable. This place will be yours from now on. The mansion at the back was originally mine, and now it's yours. As for whether you can manage this shop well, that's your problem. The people here were all recruited by me in the past. North Star brought Knight Sorrow into the treasure hunting pavilion. After entering the treasure hunting pavilion, Knight Sorrow was also absent-minded. This was because the situation was beyond his expectations. How about this? I'll leave all the resources and people to you. I'll look after this place, and I'll take 30% of the profits. North Star said after thinking for a while. Then you can have 40%. Otherwise, I'll turn around and leave, Knight Sorrow said. I really don't know what to do with you. It's decided then. North Star could tell that Knight Sorrow didn't want to take advantage of him. If he insisted, Knight Sorrow would really leave. Then North Star gathered everyone in the treasure hunting pavilion and announced that the treasure hunting pavilion had a new owner. She also announced that she still had a share of the profits. Then North Star asked Knight Sorrow to say a few words. Knight Sorrow nodded. I'm an alchemist and also a blacksmith. However, I'm not a businessman. So this place will be the same as before. The only difference is that this place will sell some Saint King pills and Saint King weapons. Old Chin, you're a businessman. As for the future arrangements, You can plan it out and then ask Master Knight. Northstar said to an old man. After the matter was settled, Northstar brought Knight Sorrow to look at the mansion at the back. Because Northstar had shares in the treasure hunting pavilion, Knight Sorrow didn't have anything to worry about. He also accepted the mansion. When they came to the shop again, Northstar suggested that the treasure hunting pavilion change its name. Knight Sorrow didn't care much about this. Northstar thought that it should be a new atmosphere for newcomers, so he named it Celestial Master Pavilion. After Northstar left, Knight Sorrow returned to the Tianding Gate and told Wu Lingfei, Zhu Juyun, and the others about the situation. This is not bad. A foundation and resources are always needed. Wu Lingfei was very happy for Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow went to the main peak and didn't see Old Xiang. He greeted Yan Huifeng and told him that if there was anything, he could find him at the Celestial Master Pavilion in Big Dipper City. At the same time, he also greeted Yu Yangyu and the others. Then he brought his people to Big Dipper City and stayed at the Celestial Master Pavilion. The next day, Knight Sorrow found that the name of the shop wasn't very suitable, because only alchemists and blacksmiths of the king level could be called Celestial Masters. But the name was already called and the signboard was hung, so he couldn't say anything else. Then Knight Sorrow gave some of his high-grade pills to Steward Qin and placed them in the shop. Then he took some materials from the shop's warehouse and refined some mainstream Saint King weapons. Like this, the shop had a brand. In addition, Knight Sorrow also said that he would accept custom-made pills and weapons of the 8th order and below. The profit from accepting custom-made items is quite good. 3 sets of materials for 1 finished product. The profit margin is quite high. Old Qin said excitedly. He didn't expect the new owner to be so amazing. Don't set the price too high for now. When a new shop opens, reputation are very important. The profit can be a bit lower or even no profit. Old Qin, you can arrange it as you see fit. Knight Sorrow said. Old Qin happily went to arrange it because this was a big brand. In the profound heaven world, there were some Saint King level alchemists and blacksmiths, but they all had their own specialties. But Knight Sorrow was now accepting orders from all sides. It was impossible not to remember his reputation. When Beixing came again, he saw that the entrance of the Celestial Master Pavilion was full of people. They were all looking at the signboard and discussing because the price of custom-made weapons and pills of the Celestial Master Pavilion was very low. It was unprecedentedly low. Everyone was studying the materials in their hands. If they had enough, they would consider custom-made pills and weapons of the Celestial Master Pavilion. Passing through the Celestial Master Pavilion, Beixing arrived at the mansion where Knight Sorrow was resting. At this time, Knight Sorrow was refining pills. He was refining the 5-spirit pill. After all, there was a large group of saints entering the Saint King level. The 5-spirit pill required a large amount of space. He nodded to Xueshi, indicating for her to receive the guests. Knight Sorrow continued to refine the 5-spirit pill. After he finished refining and washed his face and hands, Knight Sorrow returned to the tea table. Beixing, this is Jiuyin Xueshi, and this is my Aunt Fei. Beixing is the other boss of the Celestial Master Pavilion. Beixing, you've done well. There are a lot of people watching outside. Your reputation has spread. After others try the things you refine, your reputation will also increase. It's impossible for business to not be good. Beixing said excitedly. As long as you can do it well. As the boss, you can also sit and wait for spirit stones and resources to come to you. Knight Sorrow said. Business here used to be average. Now that you're here, there won't be any problems. Let's go. I'll treat you to a big meal. Beixing said. Alright. Then we'll go and have a meal with you. But you're a scammer. How can you call the Celestial Master Pavilion so casually? We don't have king-level alchemists and blacksmiths. Knight Sorrow glanced at Beixing and said. Chapter 1039. Not for now, but you can in the future. Besides, no one will dare to mess with us, so you don't have to worry. Which business doesn't have a big name? It represents hope and longing, Northstar said with a smile. Knight Sorrow could only smile. Then they went to the biggest restaurant in Big Dipper City. Don't worry, this place is also mine, Northstar said after entering the restaurant. Alright, we're not familiar with this place, so you can order. I don't have any other requests. Good wine, give me some good wine, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Alright, these sisters aren't familiar with this place either. I'll take the order. Then Northstar ordered a table full of dishes and 2 types of wine. This was Big Dipper City's #1 restaurant. The wine and dishes were top-notch. Night Sorrow also liked the wine very much. Seeing that Night Sorrow liked the wine here, Northstar called the manager over. This is my friend. Bring some wine over. Since he's here to eat, I'll settle the bill. Alright, since you're rich, I won't refuse, Night Sorrow said. You'll definitely be rich in the future, Northstar said with a smile. After they finished eating, they left the restaurant. Before they left, the manager handed Yi Shang a storage ring. Naturally, it was filled with good wine. After leaving the restaurant, Night Sorrow returned to his mansion and continued refining pills and tools. Wu Lingfei and Zhu Juyun guided Ning Yun and Qiyue, who had followed him in their cultivation. After refining more pills, Night Sorrow suddenly smiled. Why are you so happy? Xueshi asked. Look at this for free. My main body has comprehended something. I've already found the way to comprehend the will of time. Next I'll gain something, Night Sorrow said with a smile. How long has it been? You've already found the way? Zhu Juyun was shocked. You don't know how many spirit comprehension pills I've prepared for my main body. Night Sorrow was in a good mood. This is related to the spirit comprehension pills. It's mainly because you have the ability. You don't have to worry about anything from now on, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. The comprehension of will was very important. If one couldn't find the entrance to comprehending will, then no matter how hard they worked, they wouldn't gain anything. However, it was different once one had grasped the right path. Once one grasped the right path, their hard work would be rewarded. No matter how fast or slow one comprehended it, as time passed, there would be results. Knowing that his true body had gained something, Night Sorrow continued to refine pills and forge tools. He was also full of energy. The tyrannical power of the time attribute surpassed the will of space. In space-time, time was ranked before space. While Night Sorrow was busy, some people also made a move. The Tsangyan monarch was infuriated when his direct descendant was killed by Night Sorrow during the grand ceremony of the 100 World's first sage. No matter what kind of power it was, a half-step king was very important. They were considered the backbone of the power, and once they entered the king realm, they would be able to support the rise and fall of the power. Song Wushang was the outstanding talent of the Tsangyan sect's new generation. He was the future. However, he was killed by Night Sorrow on the stage. Not only did this destroy a talent of the Tsangyan sect, but it also fiercely slapped the Tsangyan monarch's face. This was something he couldn't tolerate. Because of the rules, the Tsangyan sect couldn't start a war with the profound celestial realm. However, he couldn't tolerate this. He then gathered the upper echelons of the Tsangyan sect. Monarch, let's declare war and directly kill that Night Sorrow. The current sect master of the Tsangyan sect, Song Qingyuan, said. The Tsangyan monarch nodded. We don't have much of a chance of winning in a large-scale battle. Moreover, it's not suitable to make a big move. Let's carry out a revenge battle within the rules. I don't care how you arrange it. I just want that little bastard's head. Song Qingyuan then appointed Song Wuzui of the Tsangyan sect to be in charge of this matter. Song Wuzui was a 2-star king. Although Song Wuzui was a 2-star king, he was very famous in the Tsangyan sect. He had faced a 3-star king without losing. On this day, Night Sorrow was refining pills when Elder Xiang came. You have to be careful. The other party is making a move. Elder Xiang said. Which side is it? Someone was targeting him. Night Sorrow had expected this. However, he wasn't sure if it was someone from the Moon Demon realm or the Tsangyan sect. It's the Tsangyan sect's Wuzui king. He's a 2-star king and controls the will of wind and fire. Elder Xiang said. A 2-star king is not a threat to our Tianding Gate. He can't pass through the Wuji realm either. He can't threaten the 9-domain world. Night Sorrow wasn't worried about a 2-star king. The Tsangyan sect doesn't want to start a war between factions. Their operation this time is only targeting you. Not many people know that you're here. They shouldn't be able to find this place. Therefore, you should be safe. Elder Xiang said. Besides a few people around me and my master, no one else knows that I'm here. Night Sorrow said. It's not hard for them to find out about the situation at Danding Peak. Since they can't see you, they'll naturally think of Danding Peak as a breakthrough point. Now that my main body is guarding Danding Peak, as long as the people there don't go out, they won't be able to do anything. Since he's messing around in the Tianding Gate, I have a reason to kill him. He's not a fool. Elder Xiang said. Then I'm relieved. I'll have to trouble Elder Xiang about Danding Peak. Night Sorrow said embarrassedly. After all, he was the one who caused this mess. All right. Be careful. I'll go back first. Elder Xiang was here to inform Night Sorrow to be prepared. After Elder Xiang left, Night Sorrow thought about it. He felt that there shouldn't be any loopholes. Since he couldn't break into the 9-domain world or Danding Peak, then the only loophole was him and the people around him. From today onwards, don't go out. Safety first. Only a few people know that we're here. As long as we're not discovered, we'll be safe for a while. Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei and the others nodded. They knew that the situation was dire. What's the matter? Why are you so nervous? Bei Xing asked the silent people after arriving at Yi Shang's residence. It's nothing. How do you have time to come here today? Night Sorrow asked. I'm different from you. Your main body cultivates, while your clone has other pursuits. My main body cultivates, while my clone has nothing to do, so he comes here to take a look. Business is really good. But I don't believe you. Tell me what's going on. Bei Xing looked at Wu Lingfei and the others. All right then. In a moment, you explain the situation to the store. I'll talk to Elder Zhang, and try not to reveal my whereabouts. The Grey Cloud sect has already made their move, Yishan said after thinking for a moment. You don't have to worry about it. I'll tell the store and Elder Zhang. I'll also ask my senior brother to come to Big Dipper City. This isn't a place where they can mess around. Bei Xing nodded to Night Sorrow and left Night Sorrow's residence. Speak. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.